Hello and welcome to the Weekly Stuff Podcast with Jonathan Lack
and Sean Chapman.
We are here as always to talk about stuff. In this week in particular, we're going to be talking about Captain America 2, The Winter Soldier.
Yes.
Good movie?
Yeah, very, very good movie.
Let's do that right out of the way. We always do our little spoiler-free recommendation. Sean?
I thought it was great. I think it's probably ignoring Avengers, because Avengers is totally different. I think as far as the standalone superhero films for Marvel, I think it's the best one so far. I think the action was spectacular. I think their use of all the different characters was great. The new characters that they introduced, particularly Falcon, were really, really well done. I thought it was just a great movie all around.
Yeah, I agree with you on all those points, and I would even up it a little bit. I liked this better than Avengers even. So I
don't know how I would, because it's Avengers is Avengers relies so much on the other movies that it's weird for me to think of it as a standalone thing in a way. That's Captain America 2, ignoring Avengers is easily the best. For Avengers is in a weird spot.
I understand that, and I have some specific thoughts on that where I kind of came to that conclusion, but we'll talk about that in the spoiler portion. You can read my written review online. That's spoiler-free, so if you haven't seen it yet, you can go for a look over there. But other than that, we will, at the end of this podcast, our big topic, we'll talk about that. We're also going to talk about some news pieces today, most notably the termination of Martin O'Donnell from Bungie.
Yeah, he got fired. Saying termination feels like...
That's the language he used.
Yeah, so, I know, but when you say it that, it makes it sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger came back from the future and killed him. That's all I'm saying.
All right, yes. So he was not killed by Arnold Schwarzenegger, but he has been fired from Bungie. Sad news. We'll talk about that. Yeah. We're going to talk about some other video game and movie stuff. But before we jump into any of that, Sean, it's been 2 weeks. What have you been up to?
2 weeks since our last Weekly Stuff podcast.
Yes. We were on a pretty good streak there. We had 3 or 4 weeks, but you had something going on last week, so.
Yeah. Then, I guess the only thing I've really done, other than watch Captain America 2, that's of any sort of interest, is I've been playing a lot of FTL, which is a game that came out 2 years ago on Steam, and I played it when it came out, but recently an iPad version has come out. I do not have an iPad, but they put in a bunch of extra content for the iPad version. And when the iPad version came out, they patched in that extra content into the PC version for free, called FTL Advanced Edition, basically. So I've been jumping back into that and having a lot of fun. And so if anyone's listening to this and you did not realize that happened and you bought FTL, there's a huge amount of additional content. There's another ship you can unlock. There's I think maybe 2 additional races, at least definitely 1 additional race. There's a bunch of different weapons and different ship configurations. There's a bunch of little sort of polishing stuff that they put on there. It's really, really cool. Yeah. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's probably going to be 2014's Game of the Year, I think. Going by the way we do that on this podcast, apparently.
All right. Listen to our last episode of 2012 if you want to get that in-joke. All right. So anyway, what have I been doing? Game-wise, the only thing I've been doing is I'm still plugging away at Bravely Default. I haven't had a ton of time to play it since the last podcast, but what's great about that game is you can just pick it up and play it for 10 minutes in between things. So I've gotten, probably another 6-7 hours in. It's still really great. Love it. I'm still so far from being finished. I'm 23 hours, and I'm on chapter 3 out of 8. So, JRPG.
Yeah.
So hopefully I won't get sick of it by the end. So far, not even remotely. Really, really like it. That's great. Haven't been playing any other games right now. I do have one kind of game story I could tell really quick.
Okay, sure.
You remember when I told you the story of my Wii U?
Yeah.
And setting that up?
Yeah,
and
I remember it well.
An hour-long saga.
Yeah.
In voice. It was 6 hours for me in actuality.
Yeah.
Well, this week I bought an old used GameCube off eBay to replace the Wii functionality of the GameCube, that I lost.
This is the only good thing about the Wii.
Yeah. So I wanted my game, wanted a GameCube. I love a lot of those games, particularly Smash Brothers Melee. It's good to have a GameCube out for parties, for that kind of thing.
Sure.
So I just got it off eBay. It was super cheap, $30, color I wanted and everything. Got it home.
What's the color that you wanted?
Indigo, purple, because that's what I had as a kid.
I'm a black GameCube guy.
Okay, nice. It's just what I had as a kid, so that's what I got. Plugged it in, and I was hooking it up to my new high definition TV and everything through my receiver, and it's not what this thing was built for.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was funny thinking about it now. That whole process took me maybe 5 minutes, plugged into playing GameCube, and it's contrast that with the Wii U now. It's hilarious.
Yeah,
I literally just plugged the GameCube in, video, audio, and power, put a disc in, memory card in, and I'm playing. That's it. Had to adjust the aspect ratio because it wanted to display it in 16:9, and that looks bad. But other than that.
Yeah, I don't know. Technology gets really weird. Like, the more sophisticated it becomes, there's always that danger of, like, like when I got my laptop, that probably was like an 8-hour long process of getting everything exactly how I wanted it. But,
and I at least get that, but it is kind of funny, the PS4 was not a long setup process either.
Pretty quick.
Like, for a modern thing, that's about as good as you could want it. Mm-hmm. So, anyway, that's my only gaming story. I do want to talk about some website business really quick. If you go over to jonathanlack.com, starting up some new stuff recently. As I did 2 years ago for Season 5 of Mad Men, I had to skip Season 6 just due to some personal circumstances and whatnot. I'm back to reviewing Season 7 of Mad Men, just started. It's the final season, sort of. They're doing the Breaking Bad thing where they've taken one season and split it in half.
Oh, great.
Only even more because with Breaking Bad, they did 2 8-episode seasons for the end, 5A and 5B.
Sure.
But they made them as 2 separate seasons. Like Vince Gilligan and everyone came in, made 5A, went away for the summer, came back, did 5B. They were produced as 2 separate seasons. Mad Men is just, they made a 14-episode season, they're splitting it over 2 years, and we get 7 episodes now and 7 episodes next year. And Mad Men, unlike Breaking Bad, is not structured to be given in smaller chunks like that. You don't do Mad Men like cliffhangers. That's not that kind of show. So that disappoints me a little. The premiere was great. Lots to write about. I enjoy writing about that show immensely. If you've never read my TV reviews and stuff before, they expect that you've seen the episode. So they're full, they're full of spoilers and whatnot, but then it's just analysis of the, themes and issues of the episode. So I'll be doing those every Sunday night over on jonathanlack.com. They'll be up an hour or two after the episode airs. We've also had some movie reviews recently. Obviously, Cap 2's up there. I liked all these movies that I've reviewed recently. Noah, Darren Aronofsky's Noah, did not expect to like that one. Very good movie, very interesting to me on a lot of levels. Let's see, what else did we have? I know we had... this weekend I finally caught up with the new Muppets movie, Muppets Most Wanted. Muppets Most Wanted is awesome. If you, like me, really, like, we all have our different things we like in comedy. If one of your things you like in comedy is silly accents, Muppets Most Wanted is heaven. Because
so if you like the lowest brow, just dumb... idiot fucking comedy you possibly can get, silly accents.
What is one of the prime appeals of the Pink Panther series? Funny accents, and you wouldn't say that about the Pink Panther.
The funny accent bolsters the slapstick that exists. It's not the funny accent's not the funny part. It's the slapstick.
Well, I think the funny accent is part of the funny part.
No, the funny accent's just part of the character.
Okay,
and the character's funny. The funny accent's irrelevant. It's not even that funny of an accent.
The characters are funny in Muppets. It's funny on all levels. It's a great Muppets movie. I didn't like it as much as the 2011 Muppets movie because it's not aspiring to that kind of, for lack of a better word, drama that was in that movie. But yeah, Muppets Most Wanted is really fun, and Ricky Gervais, you might not expect him to fit in as in a kids movie. He's really good. It fits like a glove. He's very good in that film, and he gets to sing and dance. So you get to see Ricky Gervais tap dance.
Yeah,
might as well
that would make me happy.
Yes, so it's really good. The music is great. Also saw and wrote about The Raid 2, the sequel to The Raid 1.
Really? I thought it was a sequel to a completely different movie.
Yes. No, I'm sure you all have heard of The Raid. It's called The Raid Redemption over here in the United States, which is hilarious because redemption is not even a pseudo-theme in that film.
It's like Assassin's Creed Unity.
Yeah, that doesn't have anything to do with anything, but that's because apparently they couldn't get the rights to the title The Raid. So, I don't know. Instead of going with a translation of the Indonesian title and calling it The Deadly Raid, they called it The Raid Redemption. So, who knows? But anyway, The Raid Redemption, great action movie. Raid 2, very different. It's basically a crime saga epic, sort of an undercover cop movie in the same vein as Infernal Affairs or its remake The Departed, and it's really good. It's got even better action than the first movie, even though the action is not really the most important thing about this one. But it's a great movie, and even though it is an Indonesian film and it's subtitled, it's playing in all theaters, and you're lucky for that because usually foreign films don't come to most theaters.
Yeah.
So if you like this kind of movie, and you should try The Raid, and you should definitely try The Raid 2 because it's a great movie. You should go see that while you can because that's pretty rare to have these kinds of movies in wide release. So that's pretty neat. All right, so those are my reviews. Those are all up on jonathanlack.com. You can read those. Anything else, Sean, before we jump into news?
I don't think so. Let's get to the news.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Thank you for the jingle, Jonathan.
I felt like we needed a jingle there, but I'm not going to go in and edit one in.
Yeah.
So, all right. Sad news. Martin O'Donnell, a couple of days ago, announced that he was terminated without, what was the terminology exactly?
Terminated without cause.
Terminated without
specified cause, at least.
Yes, terminated without cause from Bungie. If you aren't familiar with Martin O'Donnell's work, he was the composer on all of. He's one of the original Bungie staff members. He's composer on all the Halo games. More than just composer, though, he was their sound designer. And I know, Sean, one of your and mine's favorite things from the Halo 3 days, where we had all those making of videos, was just seeing Martin O'Donnell's process of doing sound design.
Yeah. There's where you had the. If you bought the special editions of the Halo 2 and Halo 3, there were documentaries on both of them about Marty O'Donnell and his sound team and how they sort of, pioneered a lot of different techniques for video game sound design. They're not necessarily like completely unique, but they're done better in those Halo games than almost anywhere else. The sort of dynamic music and how tracks will come in and come out based on what the player is doing, and it's something where you can have a game like the Elder Scrolls games, I think, are a really good example, or Far Cry 3 is another really good example of games that don't do that well, in the sense of, like, you are just walking around and you realize that you are in combat before you are in combat because the combat music starts playing. It's just like you're just walking around and then all of a sudden it's like, bum, ba-dum, ba-dum, bum. It's like, oh god, a dog is going to attack me in 10 seconds because the heavy drums just kicked in. Whereas in Halo, they did a really good job of making that really subtle, those transitions really subtle, and so every time you played the campaign, it wasn't just like the music was baked in, and it wasn't just like really obvious, like not fighting music and fighting music. It's they transitioned into each other with like a lot of different layered tracks and stuff, and it's really sophisticated stuff.
Yeah, well, so yes, suffice to say, we are huge fans of Martin O'Donnell's work, and we don't know anything about the circumstances that led to this.
Yeah.
All I can say is the same comment I made on Twitter the other day, is I don't know what Bungie is, and I certainly don't know what Bungie is to me without Martin O'Donnell, because that's one of the key figures I felt I had like a connection with that studio, because the music was such a huge part of the Halo experience and my adolescence, in all honesty.
Yeah, no, it's a huge part of Halo's identity. It's a huge part of the identity of Bungie as a studio to me, where back when Halo 3 was coming out, Bungie released very periodic podcasts that I would listen to, and he was on most of them. So I really associate that studio with him. And so it's really weird when I saw that news. I didn't believe it for an hour. That seems really strange. Like you said, we have no idea what happened, but it just feels really weird, the idea that he's not with Bungie anymore. Yeah. At least, the score for Destiny, it would have all been recorded by now. So I assume all of his stuff will be in that game. So Destiny 1 will not be affected by his departure. But who knows how this might affect future Bungie games.
Well, and you've got to also figure, Halo would not be anything like it is without Martin O'Donnell, because in addition to being a sound guy, he was a story guy, and he had thoughts on the gameplay. He was not just, they brought him in at the end to compose the music. He was an integral part of their creative team.
Yeah, when they, on the Halo 3 Legendary Edition, where they released a disc that had the cutscenes from Halo 1 and Halo 2 with commentary, they got 3 guys to do the commentary. They had Jason Jones, who was the project lead on Halo 1 and 2 and one of the founding members of Bungie. They had Joseph Staten, who was the lead writer, and they had Marty O'Donnell. It's those were the 3 guys, the 3 the most important guys to Halo, basically, that they got to do the commentary for the DVDs. That's really telling about his role in the studio.
Yeah. And wasn't Martin O'Donnell even playing the gameplay in those videos?
He was the one who was doing the gameplay in between the cutscenes. Yeah, that's right.
So, important guy. This is, and I almost feel like I'm not seeing it being reported as big of a piece of news as it is.
It's picked up by it was picked up by every video game website that I go to, at least.
I saw it picked up, but it's just I haven't seen a lot of comment on it or anything. It's for that studio, this would not be like them announcing a new composer on the next Assassin's Creed or something.
Yeah,
this is big news for me, especially if you love Bungie and are excited about Destiny, which I am and still am. This just mars it a little bit for me, especially because we don't know what happened, but that terminology he used of terminated without cause is sad and a little disheartening for whatever.
Yeah, happened. It's basically he was fired. It wasn't like he decided to leave. It's
and I just can't imagine, maybe, who knows, for all we know, he could have done something very wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, again, we have no
idea
whatsoever.
We have no idea, but just the idea of Martin O'Donnell being fired from Bungie is sad. Because that's like someone cutting off their own arm. It's, it's not good.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what more there is to say about that. Of those 3 guys you mentioned, Is Jason Jones still at Bungie? I forget.
Jason Jones is, yeah. He's the project lead for Destiny, but Joseph Staten left. I mean, he left like a year ago. I think he's at another. But he was not fired. Like, he left.
It's just that there's been a lot of turnover. Yeah. And obviously a lot of people stayed behind at 343. If I'm not mistaken. So, it's interesting. I still look forward to hearing the score to Destiny. I hope it's all done.
I mean, that game comes out in September.
Right.
Like, that stuff should have been finalized like a year ago.
Yeah. But we'll see. It's too bad. If there's more news on it, we will obviously talk about it here.
Yeah.
So what else do you want to talk about, Sean? You want to talk about the PlayStation 4 update that's coming out?
Sure, we can talk about that a little bit. So,
I mean, and this is salient here because we've mentioned a couple times that we're kind of due for the first big patch for the PS4.
Yeah.
Hasn't come yet. It's we've had, I think, the first big Xbox One patch has come.
Yeah, like the Xbox One has done I don't have one, but just like by hearing the firmware updates coming out, it seems like they're doing a lot of smaller firmware updates that come out quicker. Yeah. Whereas at least like the PS4 has had like maybe 2, and at least one of those was only stability, and then another one was some small things.
Yeah, the other one was the headphone stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, which works really well. I have one of those headsets, so cool. I tested that. Yeah, so this is update 1.7, and it's adding a bunch of good stuff, mostly related to the share functionality. Mm-hmm. So there's a new editing suite.
Yeah, have you seen? I have not seen if they've released anything for that. Do you know?
They
if
have
they've shown like what the tools are.
Yes. So on the Sony blog, if I can find that here, on the PlayStation blog, this is a great place to go if you ever want sort of the constant incoming news for PlayStation stuff. They're calling it Share Factory. Is the editing studio? There's a video of it here where they're editing something from infamous Second Son. And basically the idea is, what they say here is you can easily combine your captured video clips for editing, personalize them with special effects using filters, transitions, and themes, as well as share them with your friends and social networks. Share Factory also allows you to personalize your videos with text, stickers, and a set of included audio tracks, as well as video commentary with picture-in-picture capability with PlayStation Camera, and also allows you to import your original music to add to the custom soundtrack for your video. So it sounds fairly sophisticated.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty, probably nothing like super crazy, but as sophisticated as kind of probably what you would want on a console interface.
And from the video I can see it's got timeline editing and stuff, so it's at least it'll be familiar if you've ever done editing. It's not going to be hugely sophisticated, but it's there, and I'm sure it'll be good in sort of an iMovie before they ruined iMovie kind of way.
Sure. And then also part of that update will be they'll let you sort of like take those clips and put them onto a USB drive, which that's very welcome.
They'll allow you to take any of the videos you have on your device, put them on a USB storage device, or your Share Factory videos. So you can take them. They'll be in, I'm sure, DRM free something, so you can upload them wherever you want.
That's another thing they're doing in the update is turning. I think they actually specifically said a toggle for HDCP, which seems weird to me that it's like not just off. At least the language is like toggle. Okay, sure. I want to not be able to capture the video from my video games.
Yeah, so it'll allow you to switch off HDCP. So there's all sorts of things. So it's going to be a lot more open on that share level.
Yeah.
And they're also going to have, this is pretty cool, they are going to have preloading now. And they're not just going to have preloading, they will automatically preload your games if you have it pre-ordered as soon as the preloads go live.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's really cool. I hope as many games as they can have that preload functionality. That'll be neat. I'm definitely excited to try that out with some things and see if that pre-order stuff works. Preloading is a good idea on that level, and I haven't had problems ever with downloading a PlayStation game on day one, even Grand Theft Auto 5. So I don't think it's the most necessary thing in the world, but preloading is certainly, it would be good if you could just come home one day and it's already ready for you.
Yeah.
So, sounds good. So that's the update. I think that's all the big stuff. I'm sure there are other little things they're just not detailing in this one article. But
yeah, like at least I remember. I'm not sure if it was specifically for this update or not, but I remember there was a tweet that Shuhei Yoshida did at some point a while ago saying that it would allow you to dim the bar on the light bar on the controller.
Yeah,
so that would be nice.
That could totally be in this one. It's just it's not. This was all about the new share features and stuff. So yeah, and I'm excited for that feature still because that annoys me on the PS4 controller. But anyway, so that's the big update. There's also a patch that came out today when we're recording this.
Second Son. I was messing around with it a couple of hours ago, and it's not anything super crazy, but as far as patches go, it's a lot more substantial than usually like a patch is. Oh, we fixed a couple of bugs and like maybe cleaned up the frame rate in a couple of like trouble areas of the game or something. This is I think there's some stability stuff, but they added in some little features. So, and some really nice stuff like If you've beaten the game, they have an option in the if you press start and then press triangle to go into the options. If you scroll down, there's a time of day section. So once you've beaten the game, you can toggle the different sort of times of day that the game goes through organically through the story mode. So you should just set it to rainy night because that's the coolest one. Or there's also one that's I forget what this is not. I think it's sunset candy or something like that, which is a weird phrase to use to describe it. But that one looks really cool also. But yeah, so that's just nice because I have been messing around whenever because I've been playing the paper trail missions, which are kind of cool. And so every time, so that'll be nice that it's not going to be midday noon constantly in that game because that's while the game still looks really awesome, that's when the game looks at its worst just because it's not as atmospheric, and so it's having the more dynamic times of day is that's nice. They also added in something that's really cool, a screenshot mode that basically allows you to toggle this functionality that when you press in on the left stick, it will stop time and then allow you to basically take free control of the camera. You have depth of field control. You have different filters you can put on it, and then you make it to create a screenshot as you want it, and then you just actually create the screenshot by hitting the share button. So that's also cool, just because that game is so pretty that being able to take good screenshots is a very welcome feature. And
isn't it good to also know that the presence of a share button is not precluding developers from playing with that functionality and doing more on top of it.
Mm-hmm. In fact, it presumably just makes that functionality easier because now they don't have to code in the functionality for generating the screenshot and then uploading it to some website. That's just built into the PS4 interface. All you have to do it's a weird sort of concession, a thing you have to do for that screenshot mode is that the triangle button toggles the interface on and off, since the share button just takes a picture of what's on the screen. It's you have to have a toggle to turn off the HUD that's for the picture mode that tells you what all the different stuff on the picture mode's doing. So you have to toggle that off before you make the screenshot, which is kind of funny. But yeah, so the screenshot mode, that's really cool, and it is pretty fully featured. Like I said, you even have depth of field control, which is not something you'd usually get in the screenshot mode in a video game. But then the other major thing that they added in, which addresses a specific complaint I had, is they put in a frame rate limiter, an optional frame rate limiter. So if you go into the settings and you go to the video settings, there's one that basically says frame rate, and it's on unlimited by default, which is the way the game came out, which basically means it's what it means. It's unlimited, which for Infamous Second Son meant that for most of the time it's running a little bit above 30 frames per second, but it would constantly be changing frame rate because it's not limited at all. So it would normally be above 30 frames per second. Sometimes the game dips below 30, but generally it's above it. But where it is above it fluctuated more or less constantly. Whereas if you turn on the frame rate limiter, it limits it at 30 frames per second, which means the game runs at 30 frames per second. As far as when I was playing it, it was that smoothly, as far as I could tell, constantly. And that's actually the way I preferred to play the game, at least the hour or so I was playing with it on. So nice. That's cool. It's always cool to give people that option, because it's I understand why developers maybe have their specific vision for how they want the game to play, but if you leave your specific vision as the default option, but then put in another option for people who like me, who I prefer smoother frame rates over necessarily higher frame rates, I think that's always a win. So
yeah, no, nothing wrong with that, and definitely a boon. I'm excited to play with this update, because even though I was burned pretty hard by my PS4 playing Infamous Second Son, still love the game, and I might be over the trauma of losing my trophies enough to go back in and get those trophies back.
It also reminds me of there's a weird little tiny thing they added that I noticed when I was in the options menu, is that next to the difficulty, actually maybe this was in there before but I just never saw it, it's because I never was in the options before after I beat the game, but in the difficulty it has your difficulty mode, and then next to it says acquired trophy or whatever it is. So since I have the trophy for all the difficulties, it says that. So it's nice. Okay. I guess that's nice to know.
Yep.
But it'll be great for you, because it's not going to say that for
you.
Thanks,
Sean. Yeah. But you know what? Maybe it will, because the save data knows that.
Maybe. But wouldn't that make you even more furious if the game tells you got the trophy, but you didn't actually?
I don't think I could get more furious than this, because again, the trophies popped, I saw them, all of that, I did it all, and then you go in and it loses them, and you never see them again. So, oh well. It's like someone came into my house and robbed my physical trophies or something. Not that I have any physical trophies lying around. I guess I got some old debate trophies.
Yeah.
I don't know where those are.
That's because I stole all of them already.
Okay, sounds good. All right. So let's see, what else do we have to talk about here? Let's stick with some video game news here. Speaking of the PS4, Last of Us, it's been rumored for weeks and weeks now that there was going to be a PS4 release of The Last of Us a la the Tomb Raider release on PS4 and Xbox One, where it was a PS3 360 game. Last of Us, obviously, PS3 only, but same principle, up-resing it and everything for the new gen consoles. And it's official now. Last of Us Remastered is what they're calling it, coming out for the PS4 this summer. Release date has not been confirmed, but they have confirmed that it's all up-resed to 1080p remastered.
Yeah. And critically, Naughty Dog handle this port internally. So because usually for this kind of thing, you hand off the port to another studio. Naughty Dog did this itself, so that's cool.
And they are shooting for, they cannot confirm it yet, but they are shooting for 60 frames a second on it, which I think is really neat. Mm-hmm. And I saw some video, they put out a brief clip showing it in 1080p. Yeah. Gorgeous. Mm-hmm. Gorgeous. So it is going to be a full $60. It comes with all the DLC. Yeah. So that's good.
There is a chance, they haven't confirmed or denied it yet, but there's a chance that there will be an upgrade option for people who already bought it on the PS3, kind of like a bunch of the games that came out when the consoles launched. Okay.
If there's an upgrade option, I'm getting this, no questions. Yeah. If I have to buy it again for $60, I'm not sure.
Then I would wait for it to go on sale or something, because I would like to play the game again at some point in the future, and it'd be cool to be able to play it this way. Is also there's a commentary on all the cinematics in the game too, and that sounds really awesome.
That sounds awesome. Yep. So I'm definitely, even though I might not buy it right when it comes out just because of cost issues, I definitely want to get this because I like the idea of putting Last of Us on PS4, especially because when I've gone back and played it since I've been playing new high definition PS4 graphics. Mm-hmm. As beautiful as The Last of Us is, it is held back by being in a lower resolution. The colors are muddier, details muddier, and I would love to be able to see that opened up because it is such a gorgeous game.
But critically, it would allow me to then play the game with the DualShock 4 and not have to do what I did with Left Behind.
Right.
When I was playing that, every time the flashlight started going out and you needed to shake the controller, that functionality does not work if you plug the DualShock 4 into a PS3, so I had to unplug it, turn on my DualShock 3, shake my DualShock 3, turn that off, and then plug in my DualShock 4 again, which is how much better the DualShock 4 is than the DualShock 3, that I went through that for that entire fucking add-on.
Nice. Well, anyway, and who knows, maybe they can do some really fun light bar stuff on the PS4 too. Whenever Joel gets stabbed, just red explodes. When he hits the rebar. Mm-hmm. So they can do something good with that, I'm sure.
Then maybe, if you play Last of Us Remastered Edition, then you can break your controller playing that too. See see how much hardier the DualShock 4 really is than the DualShock 3 if it can survive.
I think it would, because I did so little to that DualShock 3. Like, I know I broke it, but I've abused controllers way more than I did. It's just the DualShock 3 is so flimsy.
Like how you almost sound proud when you say, I've thrown controllers across rooms, I've stepped on controllers, I've just bitten into controllers with as much fury as I possibly have.
No, but
they're fine.
Well, I have thrown Xbox 360 controllers across the room multiple times.
I've seen you throw controllers at the ground in anger when we played Halo together.
Yep.
Yeah, I know what kind of a monster you are.
But I don't think you can break an Xbox 360 controller. They are sturdy.
I could break an Xbox 360 controller. I just choose not to.
I still want to someday do the test where you try to break a DualShock 3 in your bare hands, just snap it in half.
I do want to do that someday. Just when I absolutely know I'll never use it again, I want to, because I'm confident I could do it. That thing feels so flimsy.
Maybe we can do it for our first video podcast
sure.
One day. That is not a confirmation that we are planning a video podcast. We don't have that kind of money.
Yeah.
All right. So, let's see. Keeping with video games, Nintendo did a Nintendo Direct all about the new Super Smash Bros. Games a couple weeks ago. Wanted to talk about that briefly because there were some interesting things confirmed. I really like the news that both versions for the 3DS and the Wii U are running at 60 frames per second.
Yeah.
That's awesome. A lot of Wii U games are running at 60 frames per second. They're being really consistent with that. Mario Kart 8 is going to run like that too.
Yeah, well, Nintendo's usually really, really good about that. It's something that people don't usually bring up about their games, but their games are usually technically rock solid.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, I was so surprised when I got the Wii U. Every game I've played on that so far is just gorgeous. I mean, really gorgeous. Super Mario 3D World is. Legend of Zelda Wind Waker is legitimately breathtaking, how good that game looks in HD. And the frame rates on those are all great. And so that's really cool. The 3DS, for obvious reasons, I've never played a 3DS game that runs at that high a frame rate. Mm-hmm. Donkey Kong Country Returns was on the Wii, and it was at, I think, either 45 or 60 frames per second. I want to say 60. It was really smooth. And when they ported it to the 3DS, they had to lock it down to 30. So it wasn't terrible. It's just you noticed it. But no, the 3DS version of Smash Bros. Is running at 60 frames per second. That's cool. The best news out of all of this, Charizard is a standalone playable character. Justifies my purchase of a Wii U right there.
It's nice to know that he's able to step out of the shadow of the Pokemon Trainer character from Brawl. Because when I played the Pokemon Trainer in Brawl, I spent the entire time just as Charizard, because why would I be anybody else? It's fucking Charizard.
He's the awesome one.
Yeah. And then there's also some bullshit ninja Pokemon that's not from the original 151, so who cares?
I didn't even look at that. But I liked how also...
He was in the same video. That's
one of the major announcements in that video was also Yoshi. As if Yoshi was not a surprise.
I love it, because it kind of did the same thing when Brawl came out, where it's like... We know, that the original, 12 characters or whatever from the original game, we know they're all going to be here. You don't need to make a big deal about fucking Kirby or Yoshi. It's so... There's some characters that we take for granted, Nintendo. You don't need to roll out this big announcement. It's yeah, Mario's in the new Smash Brothers. It's yeah, no, we kind of figured.
I mean, Yoshi to me would be, number 3 on the list. Mario, Luigi, Yoshi. Because I don't know who would be higher than that. Because he's such an integral part of the... I mean, maybe Link.
Yeah, I would say Link.
Yeah.
But that's because I always played Link, so it's number 1.
But it's funny. It's like...
Yeah, it's always funny about when they announce those characters that are of course this character's in this fucking thing. This character's always in this thing.
So, but here's the baffling news about this whole thing to me, is that the biggest announcement of the day with their Nintendo Direct was that Super Smash Bros. For the 3DS, otherwise known as Super Smash Bros. Tussle, will be coming out first in the summer of 2014 this year, while the Wii U version, Super Smash Bros. Roughhousing, will be coming out this winter. Fairly long gap between those. Mm-hmm. This is baffling to me because it feels like a white flag. The Wii U is dead. This should be coming out on Wii U first if they're wanting to sell Wii U's.
Yeah, it's smart to have them separated, because if they both came out at the same time, I think they would kind of cannibalize each other's sales. Whereas, if they come out separately, I can see people buying both of them a lot easier than if they come out at the same time. Nobody wants to drop $120 at the same time.
Yeah, I was not going to buy both of these. I probably will now.
Yeah, but I agree. It does feel like they're just saying we care about the 3DS a lot more than we do about the Wii U, because it seems to me you'd want to position the Wii U to get it first, because whichever one comes out first, more people are going to be inclined to buy, if they have both of them, more people are going to be inclined to buy the one that comes out first and then not buy the other, than vice versa. Since it's coming out on 3DS first, I think there are going to be a lot more people who will be well, I'm just going to buy the 3DS version, and then not feel inclined to pick up the Wii U version when it comes out later, because they'll have gotten their Smash Brothers fill.
Or more importantly, not be inclined to pick up a Wii U.
Yeah.
Because they don't need people to buy Smash Brothers for Wii U. They need people to buy Wii U's for Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
And I honestly do think this is their last big hope. This is their biggest franchise they have out there so far. There's already a Zelda game on it. There isn't a new Zelda game, but if there is, that's years down the line. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be in time to save the Wii U. This is in time to potentially not save the Wii U, maybe, but definitely give it a boost. That it really
put a little tiny bandage on the massive gaping wound that's just gushing blood.
They could staunch the hemorrhaging.
Yeah,
I think with this, and because this is a game people will buy Wii U's for, no question. Super Smash Brothers is a system seller, always has been, always will be. Not always, but it's for the foreseeable future will be, definitely would be this time. People love this franchise. They've never oversaturated it. They've kept it to one per console, so there's not fatigue that's set in. I think people are genuinely going to be excited for this. But it's just so strange to me, because I think if you put it out on Wii U first and you say, if you want on 3DS, that's fine, it'll be out in 6 months. I think there are a lot of people who would say, okay, I see the Wii U, it's going to have Smash Bros. Now. I really want to play Smash Bros. I also like Mario. I also like Zelda. I'll try it. I'll get a Wii U and I'll play this. And I think that would legitimately happen, and there would be a lot of people buying Wii U's. As it stands now, though, everyone's got a 3DS.
Yeah.
That's not... You don't have a 3DS. But 3DS, they don't need to sell 3DSs at this point. They're at the point where they're selling software.
Yeah.
So, yes, they will sell more copies of it on the 3DS for that reason. But I think they would sell 3DS copies either way. Because if it comes out on Wii U first, people buy their Wii U's, they get Smash Bros., they play it. 6 months later, they already have a 3DS. The only effort to play it now in this new version is $40 and downloading it. There would be a lot of people who would still do that.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be cut off the supply chain, and I think the way that this version of it will, where people will buy it on 3DS because they already have a 3DS, no more effort than just getting the game, and then they'll have it for 6 months, and they'll figure, it comes on the Wii U, whatever, I've already got it, I don't want to pay $300 to play this game.
Yeah, and also on the off chance, it's still a possibility, because Brawl was a disappointment, that this Smash Brothers game is not that good, and that fans don't like it that much, because most fans don't like Brawl anywhere near as much as they do Melee. If 3DS version comes out, and people call bullshit on it, the Wii U sales will, or the Wii U version of the game, that will suffer tremendously from that.
Which I think is a real possibility, because I don't understand how Smash Brothers works on a handheld console. I don't understand why that's fun. It's like I want to play it on a couch with my friends. That's not the appeal. 1P mode is not the best part of Smash Bros.
Yeah.
So I think there could be disappointment from it on that level. And the Wii U version could be great, and the 3D version could be not as good. Who knows? But it's just it's interesting to me on that level. So. Yeah, and Brawl was weird, because Brawl had such positive reception the moment it came out, and it wasn't really a game that exposed its flaws until you spent time with it.
Yeah, you needed to spend some time with it before it was like, the character roster has never been balanced in Smash Brothers games, but Brawl's in particular was just like, most of these characters just kind of feel broken. And then they also had, the tripping thing in Brawl, where it's like, your character just trips sometimes. Yeah. He just trips, and there's no reason. Well, it doesn't have any functionality in the game. They had
the final smash move, which basically was you get it, you win. That was stupid. There's a lot of Brawl is a good game. I wouldn't ever say it's not a good game, but it's just you compare it. I still enjoy playing Melee.
Weaker version. Yeah, it's the weaker entry in the franchise.
I've never gotten tired of playing Melee. I can always go back to that and have a blast playing it. And maybe a year into Brawl, I felt like I'd fatigued on it in a way. And I even like going back and playing the original Smash Bros. To this day. So those are enduring in a way the new ones aren't. I hope they've rebalanced it. I'm really interested to check these games out, and I think I will probably pick up the 3DS version if for nothing else. I'm so curious how they make that into a handheld game.
Yeah. I wonder if they're going to try to do the thing that they did in Brawl, where they had that subspace emissary mode that was this
they're not
huge,
doing that.
Operatic single player. Yeah. I kind of wish they would. Just make this ridiculous sequel to that story.
I wish they would too, but do you know why the lead designer on these games, I forget his name, but do you know why he said they're not doing that?
Because it was stupid?
No, what he said was, his reason is stupid. What he said was because people took the video game, the cutscene footage, and put it online.
Oh, I remember that, yeah.
So he
put it on YouTube.
And he says, I don't want people putting my cutscenes on YouTube, so I won't make any more cutscenes. I would love if the entire industry had that mentality, because we would have no more video games.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. It's that is Nintendo backwards-ass thinking in a nutshell.
But luckily for them, I thought that single player mode was incredibly asinine anyways. So getting rid of it, I'm fine with that.
I don't know. Subspace Emissary from a gameplay standpoint was kind of awful, but it was so its tone and everything was so weird and wacky and fun. I kind of loved it.
Just they tried to go this intensely epic thing with some dumb kind of slapstick gags in it. It's just what the fuck is this?
It's weird, but I enjoyed it at the time. I've never gone back and played it again, though. So anyway, that's that. I'm glad to be getting new Smash Brothers anyway, because I'll probably never play Brawl again, because I can't play it with GameCube controllers anymore.
Oh, yeah. So, that was one of the things that killed Brawl, is that whenever we would assemble at someone's house to play Brawl, it was someone always got stuck with nunchuck and Wiimote. It was sorry dude, it was the friend that everyone kind of hated but still got invited anyway for some reason. It was that person there always got the nunchuck and Wiimote, and it was
pretty much.
And then that person then catches on that everyone kind of hates them, but they get invited anyway, and it just destroyed friendships, really.
Exactly. So that's that. I want to transition into movie news, and I've got the perfect thing for it, because we've got a video game movie crossover bit of news.
Yes, we do.
Persona 3, the movie, number 1, Spring of Birth.
Greatest title for a film of all time, I think you'll agree.
Well, it is coming out soon in Japan on Blu-ray. And they're doing something pretty cool where Aniplex, the company that distributes... Aniplex, yeah. The company that distributes the Persona 3 movie, is releasing it in North America. You can buy it on the Right Stuff store. That's the store if you've ever bought Funimation stuff. They sell that over Right Stuff also. You can buy it there. It's basically an import, but they're doing a special North American version that has subtitles for the film, English subtitles for the film.
Then presumably the menu will be in English as well.
Menu will be in English. All
helpful.
the bonus features will be unsubtitled. Like there's an audio commentary.
Understandable.
But the cool thing though is that they've taken the 48-page booklet from Japan
and translated that.
They have translated that. That's pretty neat. And otherwise,
I think it's only the limited or the collector's edition comes with a soundtrack.
Yes.
So.
Well, and only the book. Like there's two versions. There's a standard and a collector's edition. The standard is just the disc. You get both the theatrical and director's cut, and you get trailers and commercials and stuff, the audio commentary. Collector's edition comes with all of that, but it's got special packaging. It's got a soundtrack CD. It's got box art. It's got new cover art. It's got a deluxe booklet. It's got 10 Super Persona 3 stickers and 4 key art illustration cards. I can't wait.
Yeah, particularly for the key art illustration cards.
Yes. Yeah. So it's really cool. I mean, they're basically just taking the Japanese version and saying, if you're an American and want it, here you go. It's
instead of having to wait the year to 2 years to get the dub cast together, record the dub, and bother with all that bullshit. It's just we're going to make an easy way for North American fans to get access to this, and then we're also going to charge Japanese prices, so it's going to be super fucking expensive.
Well, and this is what I was going to say, is that they are also saving you the cost of importing it from Japan, but it is still a Japanese product, so the collector's edition, for instance, is $80. The standard edition is $60. That may sound high to you if you've never bought...
For American market, that's insanely expensive for a DVD. For the Japanese market, that's standard prices.
It's totally standard. I mean, when I buy a lot of Japanese Blu-rays, mainly Studio Ghibli stuff, and those are routinely $50 to $80, depending on what sale price I'm getting on Amazon Japan. So you could technically get this a little cheaper from Amazon Japan, but then if you wanted to put... It wouldn't have subtitles, and then also if you wanted to ship it, that's another $20. So this is normal free American shipping. I think Right Stuff has free shipping on this, so I'm probably going to get it. It's $80, but what do I have money for if not Persona products?
And the soundtrack CD is clutch for the collector's edition purchase. I find so because it's always. You want to get a good version of that soundtrack. You don't want to have to pirate it off the internet from some random dude and it's just a horrible version.
Exactly, and it sounds like it's a pretty cool thing if you like Persona, and it's going to be a neat thing. I think it's also cool that they are. I'm thinking just about buying this on the podcast.
Yeah, live. I was just watching it. Yeah. I was like, wait, are you buying this right now?
I think I'm going to do it. But anyway, I think this is also neat because they're releasing Persona 3 number 2 this summer. They're getting these out pretty fast.
Persona 3, the movie number 2. I think it's just Midsummer's Night's Dream, but it's night with a K. So, yeah. Continuing the theme of great titles for these movies.
Yep.
Although, unfortunately, there's only going to be 3 movies, and there are 4 seasons, so I don't know if they're going to go for fall or winter. I would go for winter.
They technically have not confirmed the number of movies they're doing.
I feel like they confirmed it was 3 when they started doing this.
I don't know about that, but who knows? It would make sense for it to be 3. Stretching it out to 4, I think, would be too much, but yeah. So anyway. Or maybe the 4th would be they do episoditis.
Yeah.
Alright. So Sean Vamp, I'm buying this.
Shit, why are you buying this? This is a stupid thing to do, Jonathan. You should not be buying this right now while we're on the podcast.
I like this. This is fun. This is a cool live event on the podcast.
Nobody can see. We could be lying to the people right now. That
okay,
you're actually
fine. I'll do my online shopping after the podcast.
Yeah, I think that would be a better idea. Here, I'm just going to start doing my homework right now while we're recording the podcast, Jonathan.
All right. Let's see. So that's a bit of movie video game crossover news. Let's get right into movie news now.
You don't have to work so hard for the fucking segues. You don't have to draw this huge pathway where it neatly goes in from topic to topic. You can just say, now we're going to talk about the Sinister Six movie. There we go. Let's talk about the Sinister Six movie.
Well, there's been plenty of movie news lately. We could talk about the X-Men Days of Future Past trailer if we want.
Sinister Six movie. I've already segued it.
I know. But we're going to be talking here about how, if you haven't, we've talked about this a little bit in the past, that Sony... Sony was used to Columbia Pictures, now they just call it Sony, because that's the overall conglomerate. They own one superhero franchise, which is Spider-Man. Good superhero franchise to own. If you wanted one, that's one of the ones you would want to have.
That would be the one I would want.
Yes. But in any case, they have this one superhero franchise. Everyone else is doing crossovers. Marvel's doing crossovers. Fox is planning crossovers, even though they only own 2 superhero franchises, X-Men and Fantastic Four,
which don't have, as far as I'm concerned, have almost no crossover potential whatsoever.
Right. So everyone's planning their crossovers, and Sony's sitting here being like, well, we have one of the most successful franchises and most beloved. We have Spider-Man.
The greatest superhero of all time.
Yeah, everybody loves Spider-Man. People generally love our Spider-Man movies. They make a lot of money.
Except for Spider-Man 3.
Especially for Spider-Man 3, but even then, Spider-Man 3 made a lot of money.
Yeah.
So they don't care. So, maybe we can we do Spider-Man in-universe crossovers? And someone in the room probably said, no, what the fuck are you talking about?
And then someone else in the room was like, Sinister Six, bitches! And everyone's like, what?
And yeah, and the same guy who was like, that wouldn't work, was like, you're going to do a crossover about the villains outside of the hero story, and then his head exploded, I think. Yeah. So yes, I mean, this has been in the works for a while. They've announced they've got dates set for Amazing Spider-Man 3 and 4, and they've been talking about, or they've been openly talking about planning a Sinister Six standalone movie and a Venom standalone movie.
Yeah.
Isn't Venom part of the Sinister Six?
No.
I
mean, there's been a bunch of different forms of the Sinister Six, but the original Sinister Six is way before Venom came.
That's true. That's true. I'm forgetting my Spider-Man cartoons.
Yes.
Anyway, so I'm sorry, but anyway, so they're planning two standalone villain movies.
Yeah.
But neither had been confirmed, greenlit, anything like that. But they have more confirmation on the Sinister Six film. That's coming. I don't know if they have a date for it set yet. I think this is one they're trying to do in maybe 2017, 2018. We'll see. I think it's going to be after Amazing Spider-Man 3, because Amazing Spider-Man 3 is only 2 years from now.
Yeah.
They're really accelerating these Amazing Spider-Man movies. But this is their next thing. It's like a crossover, Sinister Six. So, and they've announced basically what confirmed this is that they've signed on Drew Goddard to direct the movie. If you're not familiar with his work, he is an old Joss Whedon alum. He wrote on Buffy, he wrote on Angel, he wrote on... I don't think he wrote on Firefly or Dollhouse because he worked on Lost for a bunch of years. And he made his directorial debut in film with the excellent Cabin in the Woods. Yeah. So, talented director, talented writer. Definitely, that makes me think that this movie has a chance.
Sure.
But my overall question is still, what the fuck?
Yeah, I don't know how... I know how you make a Sinister Six movie. It's just a Spider-Man movie where Spider-Man fights a Sinister Six. I mean, that would be hard to do just because you have to have 6 villains in it, and that would be difficult. And 6 villains that are actually proper villains that are throughout the whole movie. But I don't know what a Sinister Six movie is if it's not Spider-Man beats the shit out of each member of the Sinister Six one after the other.
Yeah,
and then fights Dr. Octopus in a giant octopus tank.
Well, here's my question: is that you could do, if you wanted to, and they're not going to, but you could do if you wanted to, a really twisted, interesting version of this, where you follow it from villains' perspectives, and their goal is to do bad things, and they succeed in doing bad things, and that's what gets them on Spider-Man's radar for the next film. And I think you could do something mildly interesting with the thing of doing a superhero movie, but from the perspective of the villains doing bad things, and that kind of thing. And I'm not sure.
Maybe
it would be different. We haven't seen something like that. But what they're inevitably going to have to do is make these guys into protagonists of some sort.
Yeah.
Which means they're going to have some goal, which is at least mildly noble for us to want to follow them over the course of a movie.
You're going to have to give them character arcs that these villains aren't necessarily designed to really have.
Yeah. And then
I don't know what, because I don't know, because you have to have them fighting against someone, and there would have to be Spider-Man, but everyone just wants to root for Spider-Man. I don't think you'd have to, maybe they're fighting against another villain? What the fuck would you
That's
do?
my point, though, is that they're going to have to make us root for them in some way, so we follow them over the course of a 2-hour movie, but then when they re-enter the Spider-Man canon and fight Spider-Man, we will have, this weird affection for them from that, and maybe we won't want to see Spider-Man beat them up, which would be weird, because everything is weird.
I don't know. I don't know what is Sinister. Maybe we're overthinking this. Maybe the Sinister Six movie is just Spider-Man beats everyone up.
But they're not. No, this is not. This will not have Andrew Garfield in it. They've talked about that. This is not. Okay. No, this is not a Spider-Man movie. This is a Sinister Six standalone movie. They're treating this like the Avengers. This is. There's going to be a Spider-Man movie, there's going to be a Sinister Six movie, and then they'll cross over. That's their thing.
But the whole point of the Sinister Six is it's 6 of Spider-Man's villains who team up together to beat the shit out of Spider-Man, but they do it in the stupidest way possible by making him fight them one at a time, instead of everyone just waiting until Spider-Man, swings into an alleyway, and then everyone's jump in and beat the shit out of Spider-Man. Like, that's what the Sinister Six are. Like, why do you do that without Spider-Man? It's the whole conceit. It's the entire fucking premise.
I agree. This is really weird. I'm explaining that maybe slightly poorly. These characters will assumedly have all been introduced by the time we get through Amazing Spider-Man 3.
Sure.
Like, all the Amazing Spider-Man 2 reviews are out, and they're saying that they're definitely setting up Sinister Six in this.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming maybe we'll see Jamie Foxx in the Sinister Six movie or something.
Yeah, I think Electro is part of the original Sinister Six. I can't remember.
So it's weird because I think you could do a great Spider-Man movie like Spider-Man 3 or 4 with him fighting the Sinister Six. I mean, the Spectacular Spider-Man TV show, which if you haven't seen it, see it. It's amazing, and it's only 26 episodes. The first season builds to the Sinister Six. It's a 2-parter. It's brilliant. It's one of the best animated episodes I've ever seen, and they do the Sinister Six perfectly in that. And that's not longer than a movie. You could do that. But it's like...
I mean, yeah, if you have all the setup done properly, you can do it,
So it's weird. And I don't... And then they're planning a Venom movie on its own. What is Venom outside of Spider-Man?
I can see Venom can work on his own. Okay. Like, depending on... There's so many different versions of Venom, depending on how they do it. Like, I mean, Venom's had his own... I mean, Venom right now has his own comic series. I mean, it's Venom is on Flash Thompson and not Eddie Brock, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, like you can do... Like, I have no qualms with them trying to do a Venom standalone movie. That's fine.
It's not going to be good,
because Venom has been an anti-hero for longer, basically, than he's been a straight-up villain anyway.
Okay, well, I get that. Maybe that could be good, but I don't think it will be because I'm
not saying it's going to be good, but you can do it.
The weird thing is that I think standalone superhero movies where you're going from group to now standalone, those don't necessarily work in movie form. They haven't yet, and maybe Venom could be the first one or something. But, X-Men Origins Wolverine was awful for a lot of reasons. And part of it was, I don't think even though Wolverine has been his own character for a long time, I think cinematically they didn't quite know what to do with him on his own.
Sure.
And I think, they did an Elektra movie after Daredevil, and it was the same kind of thing.
I forgot that they did that.
And they're planning to do a Mystique movie, which makes absolutely no fucking sense.
I mean, what? They've already ruined the character. It's not... Her name is Mystique. She's supposed to be fucking mysterious. We're not supposed to know everything about her.
Yeah.
It just baffles me. It's like having Magneto and, like, he shoots people with a gun instead of using magnetic powers. It's like, it's his name's Magneto. Her name's Mystique.
Oh, well.
He's Spider-Man. He has spider powers. She's Mystique. You don't know who the fuck she is.
Exactly. So, it's just weird, and it's like, it's so desperate from Sony saying... We only have one superhero, but this superhero has a decent number of characters.
Has a really good rogues gallery, and Venom is one of the most popular comics characters, at least he was back in his day. It's just like, Spider-Man does have this weird sort of franchise potential, but it's like, I feel like it doesn't necessarily translate to film. Like, he's got I don't know, it's weird. It's a weird idea to me, especially the Sinister Six thing.
Yeah, I mean, if they were prioritizing the Venom movie first, that would make a bit more sense. But, because that could be its own movie more.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird. And apparently they're thinking now the date they had set for Amazing Spider-Man 4 will probably be for a non-Spider-Man Spider-Man movie. So one of either Sinister Six or Venom or one of the other ones they might have planned, who knows. The Black Cat movie,
Yeah, like, at least she's a hero character.
Yeah.
I mean, she's not a standalone hero character, but... Like, there's no... Spider-Man doesn't have this huge array of other heroes that can star in movies.
J. Jonah Jameson movie starring...
J.K. Simmons is J. Jonah
J.K. Simmons, yes.
Sure.
Where he is off, he is a freelance reporter trying to make his way into the big city.
Fuck it, sure. Like, that's a better idea than the Sinister Six movie. Like, legitimately, I can imagine making it... Like, I can already imagine a plot to a J. Jonah Jameson movie in my head. I don't even know where you start with a Sinister Six movie. Because you've already... If you're not having Spider-Man in it, you've already destroyed the whole point of the Sinister Six. Like, I don't even know how they get made.
Yeah.
I don't even know what they're doing.
So it makes me more interested than ever to see Amazing Spider-Man 2, to see what they're setting up. But I've also heard Amazing Spider-Man 2 is kind of a mess, which depresses me.
Yeah, I've kind of heard that too.
Like, it sounds like it's a mess where every part of it is really good, but cohesively it doesn't necessarily work. So I don't know. It's one I'm excited to talk about on here because...
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm really curious to see it. I mean, I've always been super curious because I don't know what they're doing with Spider-Man anymore. But at least, hey, good Spider-Man news. Peter Parker is alive again in the comics. So.
Oh, good.
Yeah, there we got that.
Do you know how they did it? Because
I think he just comes back. I think because it's like he had been a fragment in Otto's Peter's
But Otto got
mind.
rid of the fragment about halfway through.
Kind of. Like, okay. I think it was like he had always kind of been there. I have not been reading Superior Spider-Man, so I don't know for sure. I'm actually kind of curious. I might actually pick up Superior Spider-Man, because I've heard it got really, really good once you got over the stupid premise. It's like, where they go with it is actually okay. You just have to get over how they started it. But yeah, but Peter Parker's back in the comics, so there's that much.
All right. So anyway, that's weird superhero stuff.
Yeah.
Let's talk about good superhero stuff.
Okay.
And I don't think it gets much better than Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
I agree.
Spoiler warning from here on out. This is not a movie you want spoiled for you.
Yeah, I agree.
Big things happen.
Yeah, huge spoiler. Bucky is the Winter Soldier. Never saw it coming. Never saw it. I had no idea. It was fucking Bucky the whole time.
But I have to say something about this.
Okay, sure.
Obviously, it's Bucky because
it's been Bucky for like this story happened like 15 years ago.
But here's the thing: I saw this in a big theater, like 600 seats.
Sure.
It was almost full opening night. This movie did a huge box office, bigger than I think anyone expected, and people audibly all over the auditorium when he pulls the mask off, like gasping, and I burst out laughing.
I heard a little bit of that in my theater too, and I just wanted to say, it's like, what did you? It's Bucky. It's like, how did you not? Who did you think it was? Who is the other character? Like, even if you didn't know anything about the comics, who else could it possibly be? When he went to the Captain America Museum at the beginning, and they said, "And here's the one guy who died, the only friend Captain America had, the only character that possibly could be the Winter Soldier is set up in the first movie." How did you not figure it out?
It's great. It's like even I was with my family. Even my mom was like, "Oh," and she doesn't. I don't even know if she know who Bucky was. Yeah. It was just like, that guy. Oh my god.
This is so funny. Yeah, it was so funny because it's like, because I have no issue with the movie kind of making it obvious, because I think that scene sets it up so heavily, but it needs to, because most people probably have not seen Captain America since it came out in the theater, if they saw it at all. So it's like, you need a reminder of who Bucky was for that twist to work at all. Right. It's like the fact that they set it up makes it obvious that the payoff exists later down the line. Maybe people don't think that way. I don't know. So it's just like, okay, yeah. It's fucking, of course, it's Bucky.
And I've heard this from other people too, that there's just a lot of gasping at that moment.
Yeah.
And I think part of it speaks to the scene that happens in.
Yeah, it's a fucking awesome scene.
It's probably my favorite Marvel action sequence.
It is definitely mine. Like, it is such a phenomenal action sequence.
Yeah, we're specifically talking about the one when they are hijacked by Winter Soldier on the road. Yeah. Oh my god. Like,
the whole scene is fucking incredible.
We have to organize this more.
Okay, sure.
Because if we start just going over this scene, we're gonna just be like, and then that scene was that scene was. So let's take a step back here, Sean.
Okay.
So same thing we did at the beginning, but now in spoiler terms. What are your overall thoughts? What's your kind of thesis on this movie? Where do you go with Winter Soldier?
I think, first of all, I should say, I'm not the hugest Captain America fan from the comics. I like Captain America, but I haven't read a lot of his stuff. But the stuff I have read that I've really liked are the two Captain America movies they've made, and I think that's awesome. It's I really like the World War II Captain America and going full bore World War II era Captain America. I think that's really fun. But then I also like modern Captain America, where it's sort of like a spy political thriller kind of thing, which is totally what this movie is. And then Cap is a fucking badass, but he's a badass in he's where Cap has his moral core. But I love the fact that Captain America as a character is not he's not Batman in the sense that he doesn't have this moral wall that prevents him from killing people.
Right.
Captain America kills people, and I think there's something really interesting and kind of honest about a superhero where it's that's part of his character, is that he is a soldier. That's part of what he does. He doesn't enjoy doing it. And they address it in the first movie where it's he doesn't want to kill Nazis, but that's a necessary part of what he's doing. There's no way to get around it. Captain America's not Superman. He can't afford to try to defuse every situation without using, intense violence. And so I like this movie does that with the character. This movie takes Captain America, uses Captain America as a symbol for what our idealized version of America should be, even whether or not that version ever existed, which obviously it didn't. But Captain America represents this idealized version of American values set in the modern day where there is, no faith in the American government. Everyone, especially after all the NSA shit happened, nobody has any faith in the government. Everyone is extremely suspicious of what the government does, and for very good reasons. And so the movie makes very smart use of the character in that way. They make the character feel really powerful and use the great weight in the action scenes. Just really makes you feel the power of Captain America and what he can do and how his form of action is unique from other superheroes. And then on top of that, like I said at the beginning, this movie has a very large cast. It's got Cap, it's got Black Widow, it has Nick Fury, it has a bunch of different villain characters outside of Winter Soldier. It has Maria Hill, and it also has Sam Wilson, the Falcon, which they did such a fantastic job with his character and his relationship with Cap. And they make really good use of all that very expansive cast to create this political thriller superhero movie. And I thought it was just spectacular the whole way through.
I agree. I agree with everything you just said. And I think on top of that, what I would say is just, number one thing for me is that it's an atmosphere thing. Mm-hmm. I think the atmosphere in this movie is so well done. It's got that political thriller atmosphere where it's just oppressive and claustrophobic, and you feel like the walls are just closing in, the pressure is getting bigger and bigger at all times. I think when you get to the hour mark and shit has just hit the fan, and Nick Fury's dead, and Cap and Black Widow are
Fury is dead.
You're right. But even in even in the scene where he is getting assassinated, that is tense as shit.
And then when Cap comes home and opens up the door, and then Nick Fury's sitting in the corner.
It's good stuff.
That's really good stuff.
And I think the atmosphere is indicative of what the movie does well on a larger scale, which is just, it is so thoughtful about its themes. Everything is so tied into the basic ideas, and more than anything else, all goes back to Captain America, and that this is not a story you could tell with any other superhero.
Yeah, I agree.
And I just think that's brilliant, and I think it's just every inch of it is so well done. It's really well written. It's the only Marvel screenplay that does not on some level feel like there's something here or there that needs a rewrite, something to kind of clean it up a little bit. Because I love the Marvel movies. I think they're really good. I think there's something in each of them you could point to and say, like Iron Man 1, the action needed to be cleaned up here. Iron Man 2, get a structure.
Iron Man 2, you need to do a lot of shit, man.
Yeah. Thor 1...
Iron Man 2, stop drinking.
Yes, Iron Man 2, stop drinking, yeah. And I think even with the Avengers, I feel like, the first act is slow. It's interesting. It's just there's some things about it that kind of feel a little like the weight does not come in until later on. And I guess, what I said at the beginning of my review when I wrote about this movie, where I immediately kind of started thinking about this, was that The Avengers was the perfect Marvel movie for me up to now because it felt like the ultimate culmination of everything they were trying to do, which was make a great comic book style comic book movie that had that tone and had that sense of fun and still had dimensions to all the characters. And it was everything they were kind of building up to, even, just having color in the movie and stuff like that. It really felt like the perfect Marvel movie for that phase of what they were doing, and Captain America 2 feels like an evolution. So it has comic book roots, absolutely. They're not ashamed of it. This is not dark in the way The Dark Knight is dark. Yeah. This is a dark movie, though. And this is the first Marvel movie I would call legitimately dark. Where there's stuff happening that is really heavy. And the overall theme is that S.H.I.E.L.D. is evil, and he has to dismantle it. And that's pretty a heavy place to go for Marvel to go, because you would think they weren't going to take that step, I would think, because that's just been such a crutch for them so far. Is S.H.I.E.L.D. and kind of that whole side of things.
I haven't, this movie kind of makes me want to check out the TV show now, because do they just start calling that TV show Agents? Because at the end of this fucking movie, and I know that that when the movies happens, the TV show reacts to it. So I know that that's happened to the TV show and shit, that they're dealing with S.H.I.E.L.D. being dismantled and Hydra agents having infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. and shit. It's like, what is that TV show from now on, where the whole fucking, the whole premise of that TV show has to be different now? Well, the whole structure of it.
The big question is why they would make that show in the first place, having known full well in advance before they started.
That's what makes me interested in it, is that they knew that this was going to happen, so they probably had an idea of what they want to do, and that interests me more. I'm curious about that TV show now, in a way I was not before.
Well, anyway, so... Yeah, I think Captain America 2, like I said, feels like such an evolution, where I think, the previous Marvel movies are all really fun, they're exciting, they've got great characters and stuff. I think Captain America 2 has all of that, and I think it's also got a sort of depth and weight to it that the other Marvel movies just don't have, and it in its own way, it's not a brilliantly intelligent movie. It's not the Manchurian Candidate. You don't go out feeling like shaken in everything but it does make you think, and it definitely feels prescient, and it feels Like, it is definitely informed by our times. As big as things get, I don't think they necessarily get outlandish with what America has been doing necessarily.
Sure.
Like, you know,
within the scope of, like, as far as a comic book movie goes, definitely not outlandish. No. It's not Thor 2.
No. Yeah, so I just think all of that is super fascinating to me. And again, there's so much weight to all of it, and there's so much atmosphere to it, and I just love the characters so much. I mean, this movie really solidified for me my favorite movie superhero right now is Captain America, and is Chris Evans' portrayal of Captain America.
Sure, yeah.
It's just they're doing such a phenomenal job with that character. I think consistently, and I watched Captain America 1 and the Avengers right before seeing Winter Soldier, and I saw that evolution in that character and up to this movie, and it's just everything. I think the writing is so good throughout. I think the dialogue's great, the character interactions are great, and I mean, just as a piece of movie making, this is some of the best action I've ever seen in a movie, let alone a superhero movie, let alone a blockbuster movie. It's like, you can qualify it all you want. This is phenomenal action.
It gets how to do action in a way like most movies just don't.
And what's most amazing to me is that, I think the final climactic set piece in the Avengers, that big 30-minute sequence in New York, I would think you could never top that. But where Captain America tops it for me is that it never gets bigger than that.
Yeah.
But I am so much more tense watching Captain America.
The action is so much more personal in Captain America. Like, it has to be compared to, because Avengers, it's one of the things that, like, when you say, like, Captain America, the Winter Soldier is better than the Avengers, and I was like, I can't. Because it's one of the things about the action style that I prefer Captain America the Winter Soldier, because I prefer that style of action, but it's like what the Avengers does, it does perfectly. It's just a totally different style of action. It's like huge, over the top, massive set piece, like all these different moving pieces, whereas Captain America the Winter Soldier is very personal. It's very brutal. It's very heavy. It's that style of action. That's the kind of action I ultimately prefer.
No, and you're completely correct. So when I say, I'm just saying, my own personal preference, what do I like better? I like this movie better for that reason. But legitimately, every action scene in this movie is so tense. I was legitimately, like, moving to the edge of my seat, because I really do think one of the smartest things they did was, even if in the back of your head, of course Nick Fury's coming back, killing Nick Fury in the way they do, in as tense a sequence as they do, and in a way that really kicks things off for Cap, and where all the walls are coming down, because without Nick Fury, Cap's on the run and everything.
Yeah.
Then when every action sequence after that, you're like, who's going to die next? Because someone absolutely could at this point. Like, especially the scene we were talking about, the best action scene in the movie, which is the Winter Soldier stuff on the highway. It's like, how's Black Widow going to die? Because it really looks like they're going to kill Black Widow here. I mean, it's one of those things where, and it's something that the Raid movies, which I were talking about earlier, do great, where you set up the villains in advance in such a way that when the heroes go into battle with them, you have to ask yourself, how the fuck are they going to do this?
Yeah, like they do a really good job, and I think this is totally intentional. They make the Winter Soldier feel very Terminator-y.
Yeah.
Like, especially the music, if you, like, listen to the music, it has this very Terminator-style, like, drum beat to it, and every time the Winter Soldier just pops up on screen, you're like, oh, fuck. Like, especially the first time he shows up in that car chase with Nick Fury, he's just standing in the middle of the road, and the music changes, and you're like, oh, shit. Because Nick Fury has already been driven so far to the edge in that fantastic action, like, car chase and everything, that he's like, as soon as the Winter Soldier shows up, you're like, oh, God! Like, holy shit, dude.
And I really feel like that when, in that highway scene where Cap is busy with something else, and somehow it's down to Black Widow fighting Winter Soldier, and you're just thinking, she just can't do this. I don't know if
Cap doesn't have any superpowers at all. Like, Cap at least has the Super Soldier Serum to fall back on, and an invincible shield.
And I'm not even sure if Cap could fight this guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Which ultimately he can't. That's one of the other things I like, is that he never just straight up beats the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, they're kind of ultimately kind of like evenly matched, it feels. Which is a really good dynamic for the fight scenes.
Yeah. Okay, so where do you want to take this from here? Because there's so many different directions we could talk about this movie with. And I think let's start with the story a little bit.
Okay, sure.
Because, and it's kind of, you can't separate it from the characters, because I love how intertwined it all is.
Yeah.
But you start out, you've got Cap is, working for S.H.I.E.L.D., and he's specifically doing some kind of undercover covert ops.
Well, specifically, he's doing the first mission from Call of Duty 4.
Okay, yeah, that's true. That is a great scene, too.
Yeah, it is.
And I mean, we may as well have to just tie this all in. I mean, they introduced the action style in that first sequence, and it is so percussive and weighty, and just so well choreographed and timed.
And they do a great job of, like, I love how they feel like they really modernized Captain America in a lot of ways, where his fighting style is not, like, boxing, whereas that's kind of like traditionally what you think Captain America would do is he just goes in and punches people in the face. It's very sort of like mixed martial arts. There's a lot of, and you usually don't see this in movies, there's a lot of grappling, like especially at the end, like Captain America gets the Winter Soldier into this like cobra hold basically to stretch out his arm. It's like his fighting style is really complex, and they make use of that. And it's like, and then he ends up fighting Batroc the Leaper, which is a weird comic book character that I did not expect to just show up. But he's basically, Batroc the Leaper is a dude he's a French guy who kickboxes, basically. Nice. And so they make use of like all these sort of like mixed martial arts style, like fighting styles. And that makes the action of the movie feel a lot more modern and very like thoughtful.
Well, and I think I would take that a step further. It seems so keyed into each character too. Mm-hmm. So like it is this mixed martial arts thing that everyone kind of shares in general, but Cap fights completely differently than Black Widow, who fights completely differently than Falcon, who fights completely differently than anyone else.
Then Batroc the Leaper,
yeah,
Crossbones.
So whenever you have two people going up against each other or two people fighting alongside each other, their character is in the choreography, and that's one of the things I love, because I think that's really rare from action movies.
I agree, yeah.
Is because it feels like character development is happening while the action sequences are going on too, and I think you get such a clear sense of who Cap is on that first mission, because you can just tell he knows he is stronger than everyone. So he is fighting in a way that he's not wasting a bead of sweat.
Yeah, especially when he's just taking out all the grunts, and it's very sort of secret agency where he's knocking people out. And then, this is just something that's true throughout the entire movie. They make such great use of his shield.
Oh yeah,
it's incredible. The way that they always keep in mind that the shield is there, and that Cap would be conscious of that he has this fucking invincible shield, and so he's constantly using it. It's never just sort of like forgotten, and occasionally, very rarely, it gets like sort of like knocked aside, and he doesn't have it for a little bit. But it's like they're always conscious of it being there in the scene and making use of it, which is great.
It's great, and I think it's one of the things they've done with Cap so well actually throughout his tenure in the Marvel movies, which is that Joe Johnston used the shield one way, and it was really inventive and well done. And then Joss Whedon used it a different way, also very inventive and well done. But the Russo brothers here make better use of it than any of them.
Yeah, because they make it, it's more of a weapon in this movie than it is just like a shield.
It's almost, I think I worded it when I was writing about this movie, it's like an appendage for him almost. It's it's there, it's always there, he knows instinctually how to use it. He's clearly been getting some training in between New York and now.
Yeah.
And it's
because this movie's like set 2 years after the Avengers, so
that's one of the things I like too on a character level, is that we come back and it's, I think, very true to this character. He is not, really like crying over what's happened to him being transplanted from time. It's that he's accepted this as he is as a soldier, as Captain America. It doesn't faze him in the sense that it's ruined his life. It's just, this happened, I'm kind of bummed about it, but I'm dealing with it. So like, I think one of the best character beats is right in the beginning when he's doing all the running,
which is actually the way the movie opens, which I think is really interesting. It's a really weird way for the movie to open, but it got me really interested. As soon as I realized that the dude he's running past is Falcon, I was like, I'm in, because Falcon and Captain America have like the best bromance in comics outside of Human Torch and Spider-Man. So you're as soon as you get that going, I'm like, you guys get it. You guys get like why I'm here. I'm here for Captain America to kick ass, and I'm here for the weird homoerotic tension between him and Falcon. That's why I'm here. Fantastic.
And so you're happy that the setup for Cap 3 is them going and working together.
Yes, I am super happy that that's the way that ended. Yes, I am. You are precisely correct.
So, but no, he meets Sam Wilson. They're running around, and for one, I think there's a couple dimensions here. One, I love how they connect as soldiers and as people who have trauma in their past. That's really cool. Actually, the movie has a lot of, I think, really kind of nice stuff just about soldiers and PTSD and that kind of thing, and how Cap relates to all these people and doesn't see himself as above them because they're all soldiers. Yeah, it's great.
They're all equals.
Yep, and so he and Sam Wilson have these interactions, and the biggest laugh of the movie for me is he has this notebook.
Yeah, he writes the notebook.
And so he's writing down. I think Sam Wilson is recommending Marvin Gaye. Is that it?
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, and so he writes that in, and he's got. I want to get the Blu-ray and freeze frame this because
the people have freeze framed it online. I've seen it.
It's got like Star Wars / Trek.
/ Trek with like a question mark. It's got like Nirvana's in there.
There's a bunch of really funny stuff, and I like the idea of Steve Rogers going home at the end of his day and like being like, next thing on the list, Star Wars tonight.
Yeah. And then the best they made. There was such a great joke halfway through the movie when Black Widow makes the War Games reference, and then she's like, "Oh, that's amazing! I get it. I saw that one where I love the idea because it's like proof that he has actually been keeping up with it somewhat. It's like I love the idea that Steve Rogers at some point between now and the Avengers watched the War Games and is like, no, I get it. He's come so far from when they made the what is it?
The Wizard of Oz.
The Wizard of Oz reference in Avengers. It's like, I get it. I got that reference.
It's great. So, no, but I love that you start by seeing how he's kind of connecting to humanity at this point in his life, and then you have him on the mission, and now it's, well, what is he doing in his professional life? He's kicking ass and taking names.
Beating some fools up and fighting crazy French kickboxers.
But it's part of the economy of this script. This is easily the best script Marvel's had, I think, because every scene is doing multiple things. So that scene with Falcon is setting up the relationship between him and Sam Wilson. It's setting up Sam Wilson as a character. It's telling us where Cap has been. It's showing us the setting of Washington, D.C. It's juggling a lot of balls. And then you jump into the scene on the boat. And that's
the first mission from Call of Duty 4.
Yeah, the first mission from Call of Duty 4. And it's juggling a lot of balls, too, where you have the action. It's just a great action scene.
Yeah.
It also tells you how Cap is fighting at this point, which tells us something about him.
Yeah.
It tells us something about his relationship with Black Widow, and then Black Widow's kind of betrayal there sets up the tone of the whole movie.
Yeah.
And I think, man, I didn't think they would be able to write Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow better than Joss Whedon did in Avengers. Exponentially better here.
Yeah, I think she was such a great character in this movie.
Phenomenal. And you start right there with that she's not maliciously betraying Cap. This is just kind of the only way she knows to be. And I think they set up a really compelling and believable kind of redemption arc for her in this movie, where she really does kind of see the error of her ways, so to speak, in a very organic way.
Yeah, which also just reminds me of one thing that they do, or it's more like what they don't do in this movie that makes me I'm so happy about, is that they don't have a romance subplot. Like there is some kind of sexual tension between Cap and Black Widow, but it's not an issue. Like they don't like try to get them in a relationship. It's more like they are approaching each other as equals, but people who are kind of on different sides of the battle line. Where it's like, Captain America is on the front lines. He is beating people the fuck up, and Black Widow is doing all the espionage shit, and she has all these trust issues, whereas Captain America is the dude you trust. Like, he's the guy who fixes your trust issues, because Captain America's not going to do you wrong unless you're a Nazi.
Right.
So,
or a member of Hydra. So yes, it's very good on that level, and I think
just so many of these movies, like not just superhero movies, but action movies in general, always get bogged down shoving in a useless romance subplot that they don't know how to develop, that does not mix with the main plot of the film at all. It's just like, it's such a bullshit Hollywood thing that ruins so many movies, and this one does not cave in to do it, and I'm so happy it didn't.
And to be fair, I think most Marvel movies have been really good about that. Yeah, they've done really
good about that, but it was particularly potent because it just doesn't have it at all. Like, it's not there is no romance subplot other than the main plot of the movie is about Falcon and Cap hooking up at the end.
Right.
That's really what the movie's about.
Yeah, romance. But no, but here's the thing. Again, accomplishing multiple things, they also do within that, they let you get a feeling of Cap's attitude towards romance at this point in his life. And I think they do it better than you would have if they actually had a romantic subplot.
Yeah.
So you've got Black Widow, who clearly does like Cap. She likes Steve Rogers, and she cares about him. Not in a romantic way, just in a you're a good guy way.
Yeah.
And so she keeps
Cap.
Yeah, so she keeps trying to, kind of set him up or something. It's kind of teasing, but I think she's legitimately
concerned that he's sort of cut himself off too much.
Right. And so then you have all the stuff with Sharon Carter. I know they don't call her Sharon Carter.
It's Agent 13.
Yeah.
Who is Sharon Carter. Like, that's her designation in the comic.
And I think they used her the perfect amount here, where we get I thought Emily Van Camp was a good just presence there. Yeah. Her presence is not distracting, nor is she there too much. It's just, we know this is going to be a character in the future. We put her in here now, and I thought it was the right balance.
Yeah.
And so you have that element where he's kind of attracted to her, but he doesn't know how to get things started at this point. And then there's also all the stuff with Peggy Carter, who somehow miraculously is still alive.
Yeah.
But that's still a really nice scene.
Yeah, it definitely is.
And I just love that. I kind of like that we don't see their first meeting after he comes back. We see this
meeting.
I
thought that was really interesting. That because I kept on waiting for that to be a thing. That's like, he finds out. Because that's... I don't remember if I've ever read any Avengers comics that did that, because the Avengers comics happened, World War II was only like 20 years ago, so it's not as it was nowhere near. It's a much more, weirdly enough, in the original storyline, it's a much more plausible plot element that Captain America gets resurrected from an ice block than it is now, where it's like been like fucking 80 years. But in the Ultimates, they do that where he finds out that Peggy and Bucky, because actually Peggy and Bucky hook up in the Ultimates universe, and he finds out that they're still alive, and he goes and visits them. But yeah, I thought it was much more interesting that he visits her Like, this, you don't know, like, he has visited her multiple times up to this point, obviously.
And they just have this kind of sad relationship, but they've also kind of gotten past that to recognize we've got limited time together, let's just be friends and be there for each other. And
then they have the Alzheimer's thing where she, like, fails to recognize him with Alt, which also sets up, it foreshadows Bucky later in the movie where he, you know, he's like, Bucky, who the hell is Bucky?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's great.
It's Bucky? Who the hell is Bucky?
Yeah.
I always thought that would be great if someone said that in the theater.
That would have been way more better than the gasps.
Yeah.
But no, it's a good scene, and again, accomplishing multiple things at once. And I think that scene where he's going through the museum, there's a lot of, again, the movie's always just juggling all these balls in the air. So you get back from that mission at the beginning, and it's just, you have a lot of time with Cap in Washington. You're just seeing kind of how he's living right now. At the same time, however, you're setting up all these different plot threads with the Robert Redford character and Nick Fury, who, again, I mean, one of the things I want to say on a character level here is we've got a bunch of returning characters. We got Black Widow, we got Nick Fury, we got Maria Hill, and they're all supremely more interesting than they've ever been to me before.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think the one that amazed me the most was Nick Fury, because I think I'd been resigned to at this point, feeling like Samuel L. Jackson is cool, the character is just kind of there.
Yeah,
he's a good presence for exposition, but that's what he is in the Marvel universe.
They never like had an opportunity to do a whole lot with Nick Fury, but this is a fucking spy movie.
Right.
Like, that's what Nick Fury is. It's Nick Fury, agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, I mean, he was a Howling Commando first, but then later he's an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., and then he becomes the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, he's a fucking super secret agent man.
Yes, and we get that here, and I'm like, oh my god, Nick Fury is a character now, and I care about him as a character. And when he's getting assassinated, or there's an assassination attempt, I'm like, get out of it, Nick Fury! I know you can do it.
Yeah,
and it's amazing. And so we kick in with that. The first big real action sequence is when he's assaulted on the highway.
Yeah.
And a lot of good highway scenes in this movie.
I like the way you just said that, assaulted on the highway. It makes it feel like he got like felt up or something.
Okay, yeah. What would Sam Jackson's reaction to something like that be? Like,
he beat the fuck out of that guy, probably.
He'd give him the speech from Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
All right, but anyway, and I think that's just such a great scene because it starts with this phenomenal slow burn of everyone's just assaulting that van.
Yeah,
and they're trying to break
the way it
in.
also starts is really great too, because they set it up earlier on with like that elevator conversation with Cap in Nick Fury, which like kind of addresses some sort of like racial tension, and then it's like the way that action scene starts off is that Nick Fury is like stopped at that stoplight or whatever, and then like these white cops pull up next to him, and you have like this weird thing where you're like, it's like, guys, this is fucking Nick Fury. Like, if you're going to start pulling this shit, like, not the dude,
right?
And then you realize, oh, wait, no. Like, this is not them, like, trying to address that. This is, like, an action scene that's about to start. Like, I thought that was really clever.
And then that action, again, it's just this slow burn of he's in the van. You don't know if he's going to be able to get out of that van or if the van's going to move, what's going to happen. He's got all these security systems, but they're not working. And he's been shot and his arm is broken. And then finally it works and he gets going. And then it gets better. It gets even more tense somehow.
Yeah.
So once the car is actually moving, it's like, then it becomes this car chase, and it's really fantastic, and he's doing all this stuff with a broken arm.
Yeah.
And then the Winter Soldier comes and just flattens him.
Yeah.
It's great.
And then he, like, uses his little thingy to sort of burn through the floor.
Right, which, because that technology exists.
Yes, well, it's thermite. Thermite will burn through anything.
Of course. Yeah. So no, it's and you know, we even went over some scenes, like you mentioned that scene in the elevator. That's the scene that did it for me on Nick Fury, because that story is really interesting. He tells about his grandfather, and it's just an interesting, like, I love the constant kind of push and pull between Steve Rogers and Nick Fury, because Nick Fury is like the reasonable government person in this movie.
Yeah, sure.
Like, he's doing the bad stuff. He's the guy at the NSA reading all our emails, but he's
doing it for the right reasons. Like, he's the guy who legitimately believes it's like, dude, they're fucking like aliens and bullshit out there. Like, I need to, like, I am in a position of power, and I need to do something about this. I need to protect these people.
So, like, I think he's misguided, but you understand, like, he's not coming from a bad place.
Yeah, and they're not afraid to set up Nick Fury at the beginning as being, like, not a villain, but as being a character that's, like, you are suspicious of.
Yeah.
Right away, which is, I think, the right position to have. Like, I've always been really, especially in modern comics, I've always been really uncomfortable with S.H.I.E.L.D. and uncomfortable with Nick Fury, because it has this weird connotation in the modern world of like, way too much authority, way too much power, and nowhere near enough oversight for, like, this government agency.
Right.
And so they do a really good job of, like, you're definitely siding with Cap in those scenes, and he's opposed to Nick Fury, even if Nick Fury's not a bad guy. Like, he's representing some kind of bad shit at the beginning of the movie.
So I love that you have that layer with Nick Fury. Then you Nick McFlurry. He's got M&Ms.
Yeah.
Then you've got the Robert Redford character who, hey, kudos to whoever cast Robert Redford in this, and kudos to Robert Redford for doing it because he's good in this.
Yeah, he's good.
He's the perfect actor.
Yeah, if you want like a really rotten politician, like modern Robert Redford, it's a good casting choice.
Can't go wrong, and he's really good. And you have, I mean, at the beginning you don't know that he's all that bad. You suspect he's going to become the bad guy. And it's actually one of the things this movie does well is I thought at the beginning, if he just turns into the bad guy, I might be a little bored with this character, but they did it in such a way where I didn't feel that.
Yeah.
Like, even then, I even kind of saw where he was coming from, even though he's evil.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. It's a good character, and his relationship with Nick Fury is interesting. So, a lot of interesting power dynamics set up here at the beginning. You've got the whole thing set up at the start with the helicarriers and that program.
Yeah.
And Steve Rogers is going to have a talking to with Tony Stark because he apparently helped design those things.
Well, I mean, I think it was who knows if he had other input, but it's just like they got a really good Avengers reference with
they
that.
did. Yeah, I actually think there's a lot of it's kind of funny. This is the only, I know a lot of people have had this problem with other Marvel standalone movies where they say, why aren't they just calling the other Avengers in? This is the first movie where I've been a little like that, and then I'm like, this is such a big threat they're facing. I feel like Cap should maybe give Tony Stark a call.
I mean, who knows what the fuck Tony's doing?
know.
Tony's probably fighting fucking Graviton or something. Like, you have no idea.
I know. It's the only time that even crossed my mind because the stakes are so big at the end of this one.
It's like every time I've heard that complaint, it's just like, motherfucker, like...
I don't...
Yeah, it's not... Like, everyone's busy. Like, everyone has their own movie going on. They can't just always team up all the time.
It's just, it's not a big deal for me at all. It's just, it's kind of funny on that level.
Sure.
Because this is like the biggest, I guess Malekith was trying to destroy the entire universe, so that's a big threat.
Yeah.
But,
I think so.
Outside of Thor, this is definitely the worst thing that's been going on in the Marvel universe for standalone movies.
Sure.
So,
but in Iron Man 3, like, Tony's had, like, places specifically targeted and like blown up.
Oh, totally.
So you figure it's like, oh, his friends would come help him out, but it's like, no, because Captain America's like, you don't even know if he's in America right now.
Right.
He is fucking killing terrorists in Russia. Who knows?
It's totally fine. It's just this was the first, and it's a credit to the movie that they pushed the scale, because I never thought in a Marvel standalone movie like this that they would push the scale this big. Mm-hmm. And it would be this kind of apocalyptic at the end where there will be repercussions. The first scene of Age of Ultron will have to be the Avengers sitting around and Steve Rogers being, guys, I had to destroy S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
Nick Fury is dead. Because they think Nick Fury's dead.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I think everyone's going to be fine with that. It's like, well, it's fucking great. S.H.I.E.L.D's destroyed.
Yeah.
Fantastic, because they are a huge pain in the ass.
Right. But it's still such a big status quo shift. It's funny. But no. So we've got all these good setup scenes at the beginning, and I think, again, it just, as we've said before, it sets up the core kind of thematic dilemmas really well. I do like the idea of Captain America being this... He's an ideal, but he's still a character. He has doubt. He doesn't know what he feels anymore. You can tell that he doesn't even know if he wants to be for America at this point. Yeah. He's, I think it's this separation between, when we ask this question, what is patriotism? His view of patriotism is the country and its people on that level, not just blind trust in the government and the country as an object.
Yeah.
So and I think they nail that really well, and his specific dilemmas at the beginning are very interesting, and then they obviously get more interesting when S.H.I.E.L.D. is trying to kill him.
Yeah.
Elevator scene.
Oh, yeah. The
elevator scene.
The other elevator scene.
Yeah, they're both good elevator scenes, but the one where he says, hey, anybody want to get out? Before we get started.
Yeah, it's like, it's something the movie does so well everywhere. It happens in the Nick Fury scene too, but it's like the slow build up where it's like, an action scene's kind of going to happen now, but it's like it teases it out, and so it's like, you have the elevator, and then it goes down, and more people get on, and then Captain America kind of notices some weird, like, all these guys seem kind of uncomfortable, then it goes down, and more people get on. It's like, why are all these, and it goes down, and more people get on. It's like everyone's sweating.
And I love how many people they add on.
Yeah, it's just like, that elevator, that was not safe. That elevator was definitely past max occupancy, I think, so, yeah, that was...
But it is such a good fight scene.
Yeah.
And I think this is a good place to talk about one of the things I want to talk about with fight choreography here. Sure. Is that not only is it really well choreographed, really well thought through, but the photography of the fight scenes is great. Because, most modern American action when it's hand-to-hand combat is they just point the camera at the actors and shake it. And this movie has an element of shaky cam to it.
Yeah, it definitely does, but it does it well.
It does, because here's the thing. Shaky cam is not inherently bad. It's actually got a purpose that I think is really important if you use it well, which is that if you use it the right way in a fight scene, it puts you in the middle of that fight scene in a way that is really visceral.
It makes it much more frenetic than just a, like old martial arts movies, you know?
Yeah, watch the Bourne movies if you want to see how to do that.
Yeah, the Bourne movies definitely did it really well.
Yeah.
If you want to see it not done well, watch Transformers 2.
Yes.
If you don't, just stay the fuck away from Transformers 2. But as an academic study, maybe you could consider it.
You could go to Transformers 1 if you want. Same kind of effect.
Sure.
And it's a little more tolerable, I guess. Yeah. But anyway, yes. You can see that all over the place, but it's done here in a way where they actually don't use a ton of cuts in the fight scenes.
Yeah.
It's very much they keep with the shot as long as they need to keep with the shot. It does shake a little bit, you're in on it, but the choreography comes first, then the cinematography is about putting us in there and making it just feels visceral.
Yeah.
And I love that.
And to me, it's the number one thing about, and it's especially in a movie that's like, it doesn't have a huge amount of CGI, but there's definitely CGI here and there in the fight scenes.
Yeah.
Is that it has a tremendous amount of weight. So much weight to the fight scenes, especially because we didn't talk about it too much. It's earlier on when Nick Fury gets assassinated at first, and then Cap is trying to chase down the Winter Soldier.
Great scene, yeah.
Like with the scene that I just want to have this on loop on a YouTube video of when Cap's running through that office building and he's just running through walls like that. All the sound design and just everything about the way that scene is made conveys so much weight to the character of Captain America that it's that's how you do it. That's how you do this sort of personal style of action. It's there just has to be weight to everything the character does. It's I feel like it's a criticism that I more often levy at video games, where it's video games oftentimes it's the thing you're missing is the sense of weight and presence in the world. And in movies, usually they get it more right because it's you're filming actual stuff that's happening. Captain America gets it so well. They emphasize it so much, and it's just such a critical piece. And everything, it's whenever he throws the shield, the way the shield will just fucking dent and dig into everything it hits. Every single impact has so much weight and force behind it. It's so satisfying.
It's phenomenal. And that elevator scene is just a great piece of tension. And it leads into a bigger action scene because he has to get out of that fucking elevator and then escape the shield base.
Yeah, and he fucking jumps out of the elevator. That's the great phone for you. You're like, I know you're Captain America, dude, but this is not going to be pleasant.
No, and it's always pushing him into circumstances where you're asking yourself, can he get out of this?
Yeah.
And it even allows you to suspend your logic of, well, of course he can. There's going to be a Cap 3. Yeah. That doesn't matter when you're watching those scenes.
But he could still die, but then they would show in Captain America 3 that he didn't actually die, but he got shot with a time bullet that sent him back in time, and they just need to get him into the present day.
Does that happen?
That's what, as far as I remember, it's a little more complex than that, but when Captain America died at the end of Civil War, that's how he came back eventually.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Perfect. When they get to the Marvel Civil War story in the movies... They can do that. No, but yes, it's just so well done. And he escapes that shield base. He's on the motorcycle and he jumps that helicopter. It's really well done. And I think the other cool thing to talk about here is that even when it gets to bigger scale stuff, like when he's escaping the shield base, like all the fighting at the very end of the movie, obviously, that sense of weight is still there. That viscerality, it's never gone. No matter how big the action gets, there's still that intimacy to it and that weight to it, and it's brilliant. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was going to say this for the end, but I have to say now, the directors of this movie are Anthony and Joe Russo.
Yeah.
Their credits are Yumi and Dupree.
Yeah.
That is their only other movie.
Mm-hmm.
Their TV show credits are they've directed a shit ton of Arrested Development and Community.
Yeah.
Now, I can see the Arrested Development and Community connection a little more because those are phenomenally directed TV shows, and Community does have some action scenes that they've done that are really good. But none of that prepares you for Captain America the Winter Soldier.
Yeah. Exactly. Because it's I knew that I knew that I'm not as familiar with their stuff, but I knew that that's what all they had done. So it's when I was going into it, I was I have hope that this is going to be a really good movie, but I wasn't expecting, because for most of the Marvel movies, the action's not that good, so I wasn't expecting this one. For the number one thing that blew me away was that the action is some of the best action I've ever seen in any movie. It's incredible. How the fuck is that possible?
It's crazy. I mean, literally, their last credit in their filmography is Yumi and Dupree in 2006, and I even like Yumi and Dupree, but it's like, it's just such a different movie.
Yeah, it's not the fucking Bourne Supremacy, you know?
I know, it's hilarious. I mean, kudos to those guys, because...
Yeah, holy shit.
And I think that's one of the things I love about this movie, is you can tell it's made by people who are proving themselves. Like, they love this material, they want to make you love it, it's so passionate. I really like it's like, you know, Jon Favreau doing Iron Man.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like clearly, and that movie, that it's the action isn't the comparison, but just the overall tone. It's like someone really proving themselves, and I love that here. And you know, the writers Christopher Freely and Stephen Marcus, I might have those backwards. It's two guys, and you know, I think the other Marvel movie they wrote was Captain America. Maybe they've worked on the Thor movies too. I'm not sure, but I mean, you know, as much as I love the Captain America First Avenger script, it's like this also is like, guys, that's a step up.
Yeah,
good work.
It's a phenomenal script.
But yeah, I mean, it's like literally the week this episode aired. I think the episode, or the week this movie came out, the episode of Community that aired was a Russo brothers one, and it's a well-directed episode of Community. But it's like, that is a low-budget NBC comedy.
Like, how did these? That was what?
And you know, kudos to Kevin Feige and everyone at Marvel for looking at these guys and seeing that.
Yeah, like, because they made a good decision.
Yeah, because they
direct this movie.
They obviously couldn't have gotten it just from watching, you know, Yumi and Dupree.
Yeah,
like that's
we have to get these guys. I don't care what we have to pay them. These are the directors of Captain America 2.
The way Owen Wilson is jacking off with that tube sock, I get it.
Yeah, America.
Yes. All right. So anyway. Yeah, so you know, the movie progresses from there. This is when it gets really good to me, is once he's out of the elevator and he's interacting with Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow.
Yeah, they have like these, like, it's, again, like this sort of like spy political thriller thing where they're kind of undercover. They go to an Apple store, which I liked. I thought that was funny.
I like the Apple store scene, and I liked that whole scene in the mall because it kept kind of almost going in the realm of like the conventional version of this scene, and then it went away from it. So, for instance,
and it gave Black Widow so much power in those scenes too, because that's where she's really good.
She's really good, and like the what scene I'm thinking of specifically is, you know, the kiss me scene.
Yeah.
Normally that would be they would pull away and like, I really do love you, Black Widow.
Yeah.
But that's not it at all. It's that Cap's a little like, oh, what do you want me to do? And then they do it, and he realizes, hey, that was genius. That worked. Yeah. And it worked, and then they talk about it, and there's some funny back and forth. Like, is that the first?
Yeah.
So, but again, it comes from a caring place on Black Widow's side, not a I want to make fun of you, Captain America. And I do like how that trust is slowly developing between them. And then we get to what is probably the most controversial scene in the movie. I've seen a lot of people dislike this scene. Some people like it. But it's the Hydra scene, the big exposition
with Arnim Zola.
Yeah, and right before that, although I will say we have a great scene where he's revisiting the base.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's a cool scene. And I like that they let the movie be long enough to have those little quiet moments like that. Mm-hmm. There's also one later on where it's him and Bucky, and it's a flashback.
Yeah.
They busted out the CGI for...
Oh, right, yeah, where he's all scrawny Rogers again.
Yeah, so, I mean, those little moments, just, they make the movie. They're great.
Yeah, it helps to really make the movie, and the reveal of Zola being kind of basically like the real villain makes it really feel like a sequel in a way that I wasn't expecting it to like tie so much into the original movie.
Absolutely, I wasn't feeling that at all, and I think I liked the Zola scene a lot.
Yeah.
I think as exposition dumps go, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, and especially because it's one of the things about this movie that it's much more a political thriller movie than it is a comic book movie, but it's like it is still a comic book movie, and they actually probably make more comic book references in this movie, and like in-depth ones in this movie, than almost like any other one I've seen, where they have fucking Batroc the Leaper, and they have, like, I didn't actually catch this, but apparently the guy who's sort of like the dude who's working on the SHIELD strike team or whatever, who's kind of like, he like ends up fighting Falcon in a fist fight near the end of the movie.
He's the main like bad SHIELD guy. Yeah,
he's supposed to be a character called Crossbones, who's actually the guy. He's not actually the guy who assassinates Captain America. They're the guy who thinks assassinated Captain America in the Death of Captain America storyline. It's like, that guy's Crossbones. I had no idea until I like was looking up stuff online. And was like, oh shit, that's who that guy was. Then Arnim Zola, because he's a character in the original movie. They make him sort of like a servant to Red Skull or whatever. But in the comics, he is like a computer dude. He's kind of like Krang, if instead of like a little mutant dude inside the guy's body, it was a TV. And on the TV, it was like, it's an AI guy. Like, that's who Zola is from the comics. And so the fact that they take this character that I didn't think they were going to do anything with again, and they make him like actually a really cool version of his really lame comic book character. So the Batroc the Leaper, it's a Batroc the Leaper in the comics, stupid fucking dumb character that is just kind of, I hate him. in the movie, Batrock's really fucking cool and awesome. Zola, dumb, stupid crane guy. In this movie, cool, like, war games thingy.
Well, and I like just how you start seeing the scale of that operation there, and the number of computers and everything, and they sell it again by that slow burn build-up. And then the reveal that, I think it's just the level of the reveal is what sells that scene, which is that, Cap, you've been working for the wrong side. Yeah. Hydra has infiltrated everything, it's all fucked, and again, it's also...
Cut off one head and two more shall take its place.
Yep.
And Hail again, Hydra!
Hail Hydra. And again, they always think about every character that's in the scene. So it's not just what does this mean for Cap, what does this mean for Black Widow, because she's done way worse stuff for these guys.
And and this thing where it's like this is actually like, this movie made me really excited for the Black Widow movie that they're talking about now, because Black Widow, if you know from the comics, like, she is like that spy double agent character, triple agent, quadruple agent, like, who knows who the fuck she's really working for, and she has definitely done awful shit in the past. And they make small reference to the fact that Black Widow in this movie, like her character in the movies, also has done awful fucking shit in the past. And one of the reasons she's working for S.H.I.E.L.D. is to try to get away from that and kind of work for the good guys, or in her mind. And then finding out it's like, oh no, I was working for fucking Nazis the whole time. And those are definitely not the good guys, I'm pretty fucking sure.
Yep. I love all that we've got more Hail Hydra in this movie. Yeah.
Which I have to say, Jonathan, I have something to confess. I have been working for Hydra this
okay, you've been corrupting the podcast.
Yeah. Hail Hydra!
I did see a wonderful thing on Twitter the day after this movie came out, which was, that scene at the end of Lost in Translation where Bill Murray leans in and says, like, the perfect thing to Scarlett Johansson? And it was on Twitter and it said,
who knew Lost in Translation was a prequel to the Black Widow character in the movie?
Right.
I had no idea.
So that's the secret to the end of Lost in Translation. Sofia Coppola, really the first Marvel filmmaker.
Yeah. That's fucking great.
It's great. So I think people got to make more memes like that. This Hail Hydra thing, you could really make some stuff with.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So maybe Joe Biden's an agent of Hydra. That's why he's always messing up the copy and stuff.
Yeah.
Is he wants to slip a Hail Hydra in there and he has to stop himself. All right. Anyway, so good scene. And again, it's just every piece of it ratchets up the tension more and more. So now, it's Hydra. They've just been, like, fucking carpet bombed. Yeah. And they somehow survived.
Well, because Captain America has an invincible shield.
Right.
That's how they survived.
Yeah. So they survived. They get out. Now it's like, well, now what the fuck do we do? You go to Falcon.
Yeah, you go to your best bud.
Yeah.
Sam Wilson.
Well, I love that we really... Falcon. I just love the step-by-step of that relationship, of getting to that point where he can... Sam Wilson really is his best bud in this movie. Because they have that scene...
It's like I said, the plot of the movie is the development of the romance between Captain America and Falcon. Like, that is... If you trace the heart of the movie, that's where it lies.
And really, the key, like, Jerry Maguire, you had me at hello scene here, is you had me at flying technology stuff.
you had me at wingsuit.
Because when he sees the wingsuit, I think that's when the sparks fly.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a great setup. And then they have all the interrogation stuff where I love when Captain America, basically kicks the guy off the roof, or I guess he has Black Widow do it.
Yeah.
Again, it was one of those things where I'm thinking, Cap's in a dark enough place. Maybe that's what he's actually doing.
Yeah, like Captain America's killed people. He has no problem with that.
But no, it's even more awesome because Falcon catches him and brings him back up. Which would probably kill the guy in a, Spider-Man Gwen Stacy kind of way. But
snap his neck from the G-forces. Maybe. Who knows?
But who knows? Falcon, he's
that
good at
wingsuit probably would not actually work in real life. I'm going to take a guess.
Okay. Falcon's good at what he does. It's okay.
Also, vibranium doesn't really exist, and even if it did, there's no such thing as something that can just, like, cancel out any force that comes in contact with it.
Of course.
That's ridiculous.
But anyway, so, a lot of good scenes here, and we're just, they're kind of building to that climactic confrontation. But in the middle of that, we get the scene we've been wanting to talk about, which is Winter Soldier highway confrontation.
Yeah. Because this is the first time, this is like the first really big action scene with the Winter Soldier where he's like going full force.
Well, and I think that's one of the things to talk about is that this movie is called The Winter Soldier. It's not about him. He's a piece of the puzzle here, but he's just a piece of it. It's not
like he's not the real villain, and he can't be. Like, I knew going into the movie that he wouldn't, because the thing is, the Winter Soldier is a pawn. Like, he's not a mastermind type villain. He just can't do that. That's not what his character is.
But it's not like Whiplash and Iron Man 2 where you're like, why was he in this movie? He's still so important to things.
Because especially the fact of him being Bucky, like there's so much character development for Captain America to get from that.
Well, and so this highway scene is just every inch of it, because they've got everybody doing something important. So Falcon,
because they have so many moving pieces. Because they have Captain America, Falcon with his wingsuit and Black Widow,
Yeah.
all fighting a bunch of Hydra dudes and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, and it's just, again, the odds throughout just feel so impossible, and especially, again, that the Black Widow versus Winter Soldier scene is so great because you're seeing how she fights is she's very skilled, but she also is really smart, and she just has so much strategy she's throwing out there, and she stands a chance in that way, but eventually it's like she just runs out of things.
Yeah, and it's like, again, when said the Winter Soldier is very Terminator-y, it's like he just can't be stopped. Like, he's going to keep on coming. You can't stop him.
And then Cap gets in there, and it's just, again, talk about weight. It's just, you can feel every blow. Yeah. It's phenomenal. And when that scene finally ends and they're all arrested and everything, it's like you almost had a heart attack. And now you're like coming down from it. It's like, oh my God, that was so well done. And then they get rescued by Maria Hill, who, again, still not a huge character here, still more interesting than she's ever been before. They're just
I mean, she at least has a thing to do. Like, she just kind of like stood around in Avengers and said some stuff.
She asked things to Nick Fury so he could give the exposition.
Exactly.
Right. Because you can't just have Samuel L. Jackson talking to himself. You could, it'd be entertaining, but yeah. So, I'm disappointed at the end he didn't yell, I want my motherfucking Hydra agents out of my motherfucking villain.
Secret government agency.
Yeah. So,
I have to say, going, like, just to talk a little bit about that highway scene a little bit more, like, one of my, it's just like, I don't have really anything to say about it, other than it was fucking cool, is the part where they have the one Hydra dude who has a huge fucking minigun, and he starts shooting at Cap, and Cap's just, like, running up at him, and he has his shield, he's, like, bouncing bullets off, and it's, like, hitting other guys. That scene was fucking cool.
That was great. Every part of it was great.
Yeah, and then the knife fight, that was really fucking cool, too.
Yeah. Because that's the other thing, is that he gets his shield taken away when he's fighting Winter Soldier. So he's really it's just him. Yeah. And it's phenomenal. So, in any case, the next phase of the movie is sort of, they go underground, they're talking to Nick Fury. But I think the interesting part of this part is that we get more about the Winter Soldier, and when you see the horror that's being done to Bucky.
Yeah, that he's like being continuously memory wiped and just like frozen in ice to be brought out the next time you need to assassinate somebody.
Yep, and I also like, and there's great stuff with Robert Redford here too, because this is when you come to hate him. It's like, you've been doing really terrible shit to Bucky, man.
Real awful shit.
And it's just some good writing in this part too, where he's saying, to him, you've helped me shape the century. Now we have to do it one more time. And I love they don't just come right out and say, he killed absolutely everyone you think is important, but the implication is strong enough that it's really kind of a horrifying thought that he killed Kennedy, he killed probably other Kennedy, everyone. It's like, it's really interesting. Yeah. I love how every superhero movie has a different super villain killing Kennedy. Yeah. Watchmen, this one, I think X-Men Days of Future Past has that with Magneto. So it's just funny. But not funny, it's the death of an American president. That's sad. But,
Yeah, but it's a weird thing that happens in all these movies,
Right. So anyway, really interesting stuff. And you feel bad for Bucky, and it sets up a really good thing at the end where, when we get to that the big climax, I love that what it comes down to for Cap is that he's been through so much shit in this movie. Yeah. And he's seen all his values be so fundamentally rocked that the one thing he can't do is give up on Bucky. Yeah. And I love that as an arc for that character, is that he can, learn to rethink in all these other ways, but the one thing he's not going to do, even if it means he dies, he's okay with it. He's not going to give up on Bucky like that, because he's a soldier. He's not going to do that. Yeah. And I think that's all really well done.
I agree. Yeah, it's sort of, Bucky is Captain America's rock.
It is, and it's not the cheesy kind of Hollywood thing where it's, I know I can change you with the power of love. It's that I don't care if I change you. What I'm not going to do is fight you.
Yeah. I'm definitely not going to kill you.
And that final fist fight they have on, in the helicarrier is so brutal because Cap has to get to a point where I have to hurt you.
Yeah, it's like he has to at least disable him. So it's like he has to engage him, or else everybody's going to die.
Right. So let's get into that. I mean, I love the scene in the base where they find Nick Fury's alive again, and Cap, makes the executive decision, I'm dismantling everything. Yeah.
And then you also, you get, you have... I always love this whenever Captain America's in the story, and here it's like Falcon doing it, where it's like people are like, no, we can't do that, and then someone's like, Captain America said it! It's fucking Captain America! We're doing it.
Yep. It's like, I think Maria Hill says that to Nick Fury, basically, which is that he's earned the right to say this.
It's Captain like, you don't disagree with Captain America. It's Captain fucking America, guys. Come on.
Great stuff. So, yes, and the thing I love is I always love setups in these kind of movies where we're going to take it all down. Yeah. But I often am disappointed by the act of taking it all down is kind of boring or not as big as I want it to be. this was as big as I wanted it to
Yeah.
be, because they don't just take all those helicarriers down and everything. They blow everything to shit.
Yeah.
Cap has that great speech when they infiltrate the base about the price of freedom, and you can tell reading in between the lines is that I'm going to be killing a lot of people today.
Yeah.
This kind of eats me up inside, but I have to do it.
Yeah, but there's no other way.
Yeah. Really interesting stuff there. And just in that whole infiltration scene, there's also a scene I love where after Cap leaves that telecom room, the Crossbones guy comes in, and Sharon Carter, Agent 13, is there and whatnot. And eventually it gets into this point where it's like the Reservoir Dogs standoff.
Yeah.
Everyone has a gun on everyone else. And I'm thinking, okay, they're not going to be able to do the Reservoir Dogs thing because this is PG-13.
Yeah.
We're not going to see everyone's head explode. Can they get close? Yes, they can!
Yeah.
This is amazing! And they really got close to... They didn't just let it be a standoff. People started shooting.
Yeah.
That's great. If you have a standoff like that and you pussy out and have no one fire a shot, that's just boring.
It's disappointing.
Yeah. So anyway, a lot of great stuff there. I mean, that last action sequence is hard to break down because it's almost like the last scene of Avengers. There are so many moving pieces. And you've got, Falcon zooming around everywhere. Great stuff on Falcon there. His fighting style when he's fully unleashed is great. And then the way Winter Soldier pulls him out of the air. It's awesome. And just, Cap kind of... Again, Cap is like Bruce Willis in Die Hard. He's just on his last legs by the end. He keeps getting thrown off the helicarrier and barely holding on.
It's also great that in this part of the movie, he's now wearing his World War II.
Oh, I forgot about that. That's so great. Yes. I love that he goes and gets that.
Yeah.
If we're going to do this, I'm going to need a uniform. That's great. So
it's incredible that uniform is just like that fits him, and it's still like a quality uniform after like 80 years.
The people at the Smithsonian have been working hard on it.
Apparently.
They had top men restoring the costume. So anyway, he gets the uniform. That whole fighting sequence is great. By the end, he's been like shot 5 times. He's got every bone is broken. He's just fucked. But I mean, there's a lot of good action here. There's also a great, in addition to the really kind of big bombastic stuff, there's all this great slow burn stuff going on in the building with Black Widow and Nick Fury and the Robert Redford character.
Where they have that great reveal where like Black Widow's disguised as that like female politician, and then it's like she starts kicking ass, and then she takes off the disguise. That's an awesome scene. Awesome scene.
It's one of those. It's so well done because there's so much else coming at you. You forget to think where's Black Widow.
Because I was really surprised. I was like, wait, what the fuck is going on? And then she like starts taking off the mask. It's like, oh fuck, Black Widow's still in the movie.
Right.
Shit.
So again, it gives everyone something to do. You can plausibly see how all these pieces fit together to get the desired outcome. But it's also not a perfect, we saved the day, yay. This was violent and bloody and kind of sucked.
And it's like, it's not, oh yay, all Bucky's memories are back, and now, he's best buds with Captain America. It's like, Bucky maybe has some of his memories back, and he didn't just kill Captain America, and he kind of saved his life, but who knows, he's off, like, who knows what he's going to do now.
Yeah. He left him on a riverbank where no one knows where he is.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the best rescue in the world.
Exactly.
So, it's like the movie does not end with Bucky and Sam Wilson and Cap at a bar, just like, and they like toast and it freeze frames. Mm-hmm. Which would be a good ending to a movie, too.
Yeah.
But that's not this movie. So, or like the Winter Soldier, he toasts with his metallic arm and accidentally breaks everyone's glasses.
Sure.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But I'd be interested in watching that.
Okay.
So, not really. But yes.
All right, then. This
but
has
what
been
did
a weird digression by Jonathan Lack.
It has. What did you think of all this stuff at the end here?
I thought it was a really awesome, well choreographed, really huge, epic action scene. I don't have anything more to say. That's like it was all really fucking cool. I mean, and I guess all the stuff with Falcon. I guess we always kind of said it, but the way they handle the flight suit is spectacular. With everything else, like again, and this is also even more impressive because most of it must have been CGI. They still get that sense of weight with like you feel him flying through the air, and he's not Superman flying, like he's using a flight suit, so you get that sense to it.
It's so good, and I think the movie ends in just the right way too, where we start seeing what the characters are doing next, but we're not seeing the rest of their stories. It's we're clearly still in transition. Black Widow has the good scene with the Congress.
Yeah,
we see the jackass senator from Iron Man 2 getting arrested for being a Hydra
because he's a
Hydra agent. I said a Heil agent.
Yeah.
Hail Hydra.
Yes.
Every time Sean has said that, he's done the motion, by the way.
Yeah, well, you have to.
Right.
Every time you say Hail Hydra, you have to do the Hail Hydra thing.
Exactly. Hail Hydra. All right, so I did a really, girly version.
Yeah, you did.
I don't know what the fuck that was.
You didn't even do it right, really.
No, I didn't. I did, the weird cheerleader version.
Yeah, you were lucky that this is not a video podcast. So everyone would be making fun of it.
I'm very lucky. Exactly. But anyway, and of course, one of the best parts of the whole movie is just it ends on Cap and Falcon standing there and Cap saying, "I'm going to have to go after the Winter Soldier," and the last line is, "When do we start?"
Yeah,
it's great.
It's set up for the greatest love triangle in history. It's Cap and Bucky and Falcon. That's awesome.
I think Cap 3 is going to be good.
Yeah, I think so too.
Well, I think what's interesting is that they're setting up. They've already gotten the Russo brothers back and clearly Marvel saw this movie and was like, "Holy fuck! Sign these guys up for more. We need these people.
I don't care if they want to make Yumi and Dupree 2. We need this.
We will fund Yumi and Dupree 2. It'll be a Marvel movie. Just let them make Captain America first." Yes. No, but they've signed it up, and it's going to be the first Phase 3 movie after Ant-Man. So it's going to be, we're going to have an Iron Man, we're going to have Captain America this month in 2014, in May of 2015 with Avengers 2, and in May of 2016 with Captain America 3.
Yeah.
So Chris Evans is being kept busy.
Yeah.
They just have him on a studio slot in the Cap suit all the time, I guess. Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, and I think that makes sense because they clearly have a direction for Cap 3. He's going to be interrupted in whatever he's doing by Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
But think they'll get Falcon in Age of Ultron?
I hope so. I think he'll be there for at least a little bit.
I would hope so too. He hasn't been announced as part of the cast, but that would be neat. I mean, they're putting in War Machine. Why can't we have...
he needs at least a little bit of a cameo.
Yeah. So, but I mean, let's talk about the characters a little bit.
Okay.
Because, we've already talked about how much we love Falcon, but Anthony Mackie, there's an actor I love. He's so good here. He's clearly having such a fun time.
Yeah.
He just fits in that universe so well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's just, I think it's clearly one where they thought about chemistry because, again, in this bromance way, he and Chris Evans have such great chemistry.
Yeah.
Chris Evans and Scarlett Johansson have such great chemistry that if they ever wanted to do a romantic thing with them, they plausibly could. I'm not saying they should, but it's like
Yeah, that would be really weird.
It would be really weird, but it's like every actor works so well together. Even the little hints we get of Chris Evans and Emily Van Camp as Agent 13.
Yeah.
That's great. It's just all the interactions here are really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I also thought it was really interesting that they didn't tip their hand on the Agent 13 stuff and her being Peggy Carter's granddaughter now. Like, I don't even know I don't know what her relationship is anymore. I think originally she was her niece. I think
we're gonna have to go with granddaughter on this one, just for age. I mean, Peggy Carter. I was thinking about this. I'm like, well, how old would Peggy Carter be in the first Avenger movie? Yeah. Let's just go with Haley Atwell's age at the time she filmed it.
Sure,
she was 30.
Yeah,
in the year 1944. So she would be 104 years old now. Yeah. Doesn't really work, but I don't know. Maybe she's just a really healthy person.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe she took a little bit of that super soldier serum on the side when you weren't looking in Captain America 1.
Yes. All right. Is that like a euphemism for something?
No, okay. Like it could be, but no, that was not what I was intending.
Is Captain America a virgin still at this point?
I don't fucking... How am I supposed to know?
I'm just thinking, like, that's one of the sad things. He and Peggy Carter really never got to sleep together, right? Because he got frozen.
Probably not, yeah.
Yeah, and he probably hadn't, got any action before then. So now he probably hasn't, unless he, went and got a prostitute his first night back.
Yeah, like I said, I don't fucking know. It's Captain America.
It's his business.
The only people he fucks are Nazis. And he fucks them hard.
I feel like we should just end the podcast there. That says everything.
Sure.
But no, we've got more to talk about. So yeah, I mean, we've covered most of the characters already, but just in terms of performances, Scarlett Johansson, so good here. I really do. I think she deserves a Black Widow movie at this point.
I think they definitely set up enough in this movie that I can understand what a Black Widow movie would be in a way I couldn't coming out of Avengers.
Well, and just, compare her work here to her work in Iron Man 2. She has just become so much more confident as a movie star. Mm-hmm. And she's got this movie star presence, and it's great.
Yeah.
Same with Chris Evans. I mean, he's always had that movie star presence, and he's always been a great actor. It's even better than ever here. It's part of it's just the writing's better, but it's just he's so good as this character, and it's so much... it's so weird to have a superhero where, ego is not a part of it.
Yeah.
It's not that he wants to be out there doing all this stuff. It's that this is his duty. This is who he is. Humility is a inherent part of the character.
Yeah.
That's such a rare dynamic, and I really love it.
It's something that's, I really appreciate because I feel like, Captain America and Superman as characters have so many similarities in terms of they are, in a lot of ways, these very Boy Scout characters. Although Captain America has advantages in that he's not invincible and that he does kill people. But, they don't... But even though he does kill people, most writers don't deal with that. Usually he doesn't. They don't want to deal with that side of it. But usually, I feel like so many people would complain about the same things about Captain America that they would of Superman. Of, oh, he's just boring. He's just a Boy Scout. There's nothing interesting. but it's without understanding that it's like you can do interesting things with those characters. And so I love that they keep that facet of the Captain America character intact, and they don't try to Christopher Nolanify him, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, that was my ultimate conclusion on this, is that, you know, even a year before Captain America: The First Avenger came out, you said, I'm excited for the Captain America movie, and people would laugh you out of the room.
Yeah.
Because everyone just thought this character was a joke. I think even more than Thor on some levels, because...
I think so, because it's Captain America. Like,
right.
when you... Like, we have enough sort of cultural context and having grown up with that character existing that it's hard for it to be as ridiculous as it by all rights is. But every once in a while, you hear the name Captain America, and it's like you heard it for the first time, and you're like, what the fuck is Captain America? That sounds ridiculous.
I think it's when you go to buy your tickets at the ticket
Exactly.
counter.
You're like, I want a ticket for 2 for Captain America, the Winter Soldier. What the fuck did I just say?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So you have this, and now we've had, you know, at least we had The First Avenger, which I think is a great movie. You loved, but I think still it was not fully accepted. People liked it. It was a big success. But
it's like, there were people who liked it and people who didn't. Yeah.
And then Avengers, people really started coming around on the character. And now we have this movie, which is a definite contender for best comic book movie ever made.
Yeah, maybe, I think so. Yeah.
It's in that top 5, you know, whatever.
Easily,
easily. And I think most people agree on that.
Yeah.
It's done big box office. People love Cap. Marvel is so, you know, bullish on it that he's the next, you know, standalone movie out of the big 3.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're not pushing Iron Man 4 or something. So that's really interesting. And I think this, for a movie, they've made such a good movie out of a character that could have gone so wrong.
Yeah. And I'm so happy about that, because it's just, the Captain America character is one that so easily goes so wrong, as evidenced by the other, like, older Captain America movies that nobody talks about that are not good. And but it's like the character can be used so well, and I like him so much from the comics. I think he's so interesting. Like with Superman, that's like, I love that they have done a faithful, good adaptation of this character to movies, and that they're such good movies, and they've been accepted so much that it's like now, because to me, out of all of those Avengers, like, regardless of which one you like more, Captain America is like the dude. You know, it's like Superman in the Justice League. Like, he's the guy. Like, and when you have them all line up, he's the dude who should be standing in the front, in the center. You know, and I feel like now Captain America can be positioned that way without people sort of like, you know, like how like Cyclops is in the X-Men, and it's like everyone just hates Cyclops because he has no, like, they never do anything good with him. So it's like everyone hates Cyclops and hates that he's the leader. It's like everyone should love Captain America and love that Captain America is the leader. Everyone should love Superman and love that he's the leader of that group. And I love that they have him positioned for that now.
I mean, DC should be thinking about this for Batman vs. Superman, because you know their movie is going to be Batman's awesome, fuck Superman. That's probably going to be it.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, they don't get... I mean, Marvel gets it, which is that Marvel loves all their characters, but they also understand what the dynamics need to be.
Yeah.
Which is that, again, as much progress as Tony Stark has made, he's not the selfless, you know,
he's
uber
not
hero.
the team leader.
No. That's just not who he is, and that's what we love about him.
Yeah.
What we love about Cap is that he is that guy, and he's become that guy, and I'm so excited to see what they do with this character next.
Yeah.
I love that we've got 2 more Cap movies coming in 2 years.
Yeah.
Basically. It's great. So,
God. And then, you know what we haven't even talked about? We have not talked about the post-credit scene.
Yeah. So we had 2. We had one in the middle, which is where we met.
Which is kind of what they've been doing now.
Since Avengers.
They have the one that comes at the end of the really cool credits that you actually just kind of want to sit through because they're really awesome looking. And then that's always the one that develops, like, that leads into the larger Marvel universe. And they have, like, the really tiny one that comes at the end of the credits that you don't want to watch. That's like, and this one's like Bucky's like at the museum or whatever.
Yeah, that one was okay, but it wasn't all that.
But it does, like, those ones. I never actually sit through all the credits to go see them because it's like there's not enough there to justify, like, sitting there for 5 minutes.
I'm okay sitting there for 5 minutes because I actually really liked the music in this movie, so I was content to just listen to it.
Good,
and I was also at a point where I was just so flattened by how cool the movie was. It's like, I just need to sit here and take this in. But okay, the middle one is the significant one, yes. Because in the tradition of meeting Thanos or something like that, we're meeting Baron von
Strucker. Where this is again, like, this movie throws so many fucking comic book characters at you.
And I knew he was going to be in Avengers. I knew this character.
I had not heard that. Like, I didn't know. So when he popped up, I was like, "Is that fucking Strucker?" Like, holy shit! I wasn't expecting him to just pop up.
Thank Joss Whedon for that one because he put him in Avengers: Age of Ultron apparently. So
you have Baron von Strucker. He's there. And then he's got the staff, Loki's staff from the Avengers, and then he's talking about like something about like, oh, Hydra, Shield, blah 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 blah. But then we have the twins, and I was not expecting them to show this because the camera then pans over and you see 2 prison cells, and one is a dude who's running really fast, and the other one is a girl who's like floating stuff with magic, and then she's like crushes one of the things with magic and stares at the camera really intensely, and then it's credits again.
And I'll say, their Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch look pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think so. I that was just like, because I was not I always forget that usually those like mid-credit teases are really fucking huge. Like they usually throw something like really significant in them, but I always forget that. So then I was watching this movie, I was like, holy shit, that's Strucker. Like what? I had no idea. It's like, oh my god, that's Quicksilver and fucking Scarlet Witch. And so it's just one of those, it's like when I was watching Thor and it was like, oh my god, it's fucking Hawkeye's in this movie. It's like, I just am not expecting to see those characters. They just show up and it's like, holy fucking shit. Like, it's one thing when you have Batroc the Leaper in the movie, because I don't care about Batroc the Leaper. I really like Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch from the comics, so it's like when they show up, it's like, oh my fucking god, that's awesome.
And they look awesome, and it's like, it's so funny to me because I don't know if you've been seeing the X-Men Days of Future Past ads.
I watched the last trailer that came out.
And I think the ads for this movie
look...
look...
some Quicksilver stuff in them.
Yeah, they all look really good. I'm excited for that movie.
They don't look that good to me. Okay. I don't know. Yeah,
I like the trailers, but I think the Quicksilver stuff in all of these is super lame. He looks really awful.
Silly. His costume is so silly.
Everything about him looks... And they introduced him in a Carl's Jr. ad. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
That was our first view of Quicksilver ever in like full costume, was in a Carl's Jr. ad, and I was seeing the pictures, and it's just, he's eating a hamburger. It's super lame.
With his costume, that makes sense.
Yes.
That's how you'd be introduced
and it's
to
like, he looks stupid, and he's got the silver hair looks so much like a wig.
Yeah.
And it's like, it just looks awful. And in this like 5-second shot at the end of Cap 2, he's not even in full costume, and you're like, I can't wait to see that character.
Yeah.
And same with Scarlet Witch. I mean, Elizabeth Olsen looks just right for that role. Just perfect.
Scarlet Witch is the more interesting of the two as far as I'm concerned. So.
Okay. Well,
I wonder if they're eventually going to have Vision, and then she can... Vision's like a robot dude, and they date.
Vision's in the next one, isn't he?
I don't know.
Yeah, Paul Bettany's playing Vision.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Then they date.
Yeah, Paul Bettany, who played Jarvis, he's playing Vision.
Okay, that's just like... In the comics, Jarvis is an actual dude, so I always kind of like forget that, that he's an AI now.
No, Jarvis the butler is playing Vision.
It's like, oh my god, what's going on?
Yeah, I want to make sure I'm not mixing that up with another character. I think it's Vision, though. They've got Paul Bettany.
Well, because Vision's a pretty significant Avenger. Like, he's a character everyone forgets about, but he's been in the Avengers for, like, ever.
Yeah. So anyway, it's a cool post-credits tease. And the other thing I love is, Marvel has been doing so well at this point, we don't have to be nervous about how are they going to juggle all these characters next time. We just know Joss Whedon's
I can just be excited that they're going to be in the next movie. It's not like when I heard Batman vs. Superman was being made, and I was like, oh god, how are they going to fuck this up? Now I hear this and I'm like, sweet, like fucking yeah, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, and now I just get to see a little sneak peek of them, and they look really cool.
And Baron von Strucker and the Vision, and they're all going to be in Avengers 2, and Ultron, new villain.
Yeah,
fuck it, they're all going to be in there. Have a good time. I know it's going to be good.
Yeah.
So whatever. And we still got Guardians of the Galaxy to look forward to.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And I was happy when that trailer played in the theater. People enjoyed it.
Yeah.
People were not just like booing it or something.
Yeah, so, I like that trailer. So
yeah. It's a good trailer. You hooked on a feeling, and it's fun.
I want to say one little thing, like going back, thinking about when I watched that Days of Future Past trailer that had some of the Quicksilver stuff in it. Is it just me, or does it seem like in that trailer they're not even having Quicksilver be Magneto's son?
No, of course they're not.
It's just like it baffles me because it's like because it has the weird fucking situation where you're having Quicksilver in these two different movies. But it's like. Obviously in Avengers, Quicksilver cannot be Magneto's son because Magneto doesn't exist. But although maybe he could be, and you just never actually say it, but in the back of Joss Whedon's mind, it's still that's what it is. Who knows? It's like I will accept. It's like fine. It's kind of frustrating because I like their family dynamic in that way, like with Magneto. Even though usually they're not involved with Magneto that much, but it's like I like that element of the characters. It's an element of the fucking characters. Magneto's their goddamn dad. But then you have the X-Men movies where you have two different versions of Magneto, and you're having these characters, and you're not going to do that? That makes no fucking sense.
Well, here's the thing. I want to clarify my position on the Days of Future Past trailers. I think they are well done ads. I've liked the ads a whole lot. I think they are well done in terms of pitching what looks like a complex story. I hope it's good. I think the dividends could be high.
Sure.
My worry, and it was. I did not like this latest trailer as much as a lot of people did. I liked it, but
I liked the earlier trailers, but not this one. This one, like,
I didn't.
Their warning flags flew up when I was watching it.
Here's the difference though. I think it's a well made trailer, but there were a ton of warning flags for me. Like, it's just. The thing, everyone's excited for Bryan Singer to come back. I don't think that's necessarily a good thing. I've talked about
because X-Men First Class was the best of the X-Men movies.
Right.
Like, I'd rather have that back.
Yeah, Matthew Vaughn was much better for it. And again, Bryan Singer he directed superhero movies in a different era. And if you go back and look at those, one of the problems is that there's so much like shame in it. Like, we can't just let them be mutants. We have to be tortured about it, and we have to like use it sparingly. It's not.
We all have to wear leather fetish gear because we can't have Wolverine dress up in his fucking costume, which will happen one day. One day,
it will, I'm sure. But no, it's like it's not the right attitude, and I saw a lot of that in the Days of Future Past trailer, specifically with Quicksilver, where clearly that's his one scene in the movie. Mm-hmm. That's his one scene. As they go, you have the whole thing where Wolverine's like, "We need to break him out. Let's go get Quicksilver." Apparently Wolverine and all the other X-Men can't do it. They have to get another new mutant, because that's always the MO in these movies, is that we're not going to use any logic and use the team we know and have a connection with. We're just going to go get a new mutant. And the thing I loved about First Class is they got over that. Yeah. They had to have a First Class, and they were lame, but they didn't keep adding in mutants over the course of the movie. And in the Wolverine, they were really sparing about it. And they just, every mutant we have matters and counts, and we're going to give them weight and meaning and purpose. And that's great. And if it's just Quicksilver's here because we had one scene where we needed a new mutant and we're going to put him in and then we're going to kick him out, because I know that's what's going to happen.
And we're not even going to have the whole fucking huge character dynamic where his dad is Magneto,
which they don't have time for anyway. So
which they can't do.
Yeah,
because it's just. And also, if I were trying to break into anywhere, if I were trying to do anything that involved anything.
Kitty Pryde.
Well, no, I mean, okay, yeah, Kitty Pryde, sure. I was thinking about the characters I was presented with. Okay. This dichotomy. You have Quicksilver, or you already have Wolverine from the fucking future. It's Wolverine. He's the best there is at what he does, and what he does is basically kind of everything. If you want to break in. It's Wolverine.
He can't die.
It's like, just have Wolverine do it. He's the coolest motherfucker. Like, you already made him the main character in all these fucking movies that Bryan Singer did, at least. Like, just have him do it. It's Wolverine.
Exactly.
What's the problem?
It's weird, and I there were other warning flags in that one to me, just that it seems increasingly clear that maybe the big crossover we're excited for is Patrick Stewart's going to be in one scene.
Yeah, it seems like the future stuff's going to be very, very... it's probably going to be at the beginning, and then Wolverine gets sent back into the past.
I don't know. I hope it's good. I think it could be good.
Also, Wolverine has bone claws in the movie, and it's like, that's...
It's because at the end of Wolverine, that's what he has. Remember, he gets his adamantium cut off.
Maybe I'm remembering... Maybe I thought, what happens is Wolverine's like consciousness gets transplanted into his younger body. I don't remember.
That is what's supposed to happen in this movie, but we also maybe the scene in actuality plays out different.
Yeah. Who knows?
Or maybe the bone claws
seems like a weird thing to me.
Maybe the bone claws are in the future scene. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
who knows?
I mean, also there's stuff like Professor X is walking in the movie. So.
Oh right, yeah, that was the other big thing of that he definitely was not at the end of First Class.
So who knows? I'm still optimistic, but I think a lot of people online are just assuming this is going to be a great movie. I think it absolutely could be. I need to be in the theater and watch it first.
Yeah, I'm cautious about this one because when I actually looked saw the conversation around that trailer, everyone else was really positive, and I was like, really? I was looking at this and being like, I don't know, this looks a little...
Again, I think there are positive things. The cast looks great. There's some action scenes that look really cool. And I think the general tone and story idea is really neat if they can pull it off.
Yeah.
But, I still like the first trailer better because it had this very kind of reverent, somber tone that I thought was cool.
Yeah.
But, and I saw that in front of Cap 2, and it looked great on the big screen. That's one thing, is that the visuals in this one look really cool. So, and I hope they are. But, in any case, yeah, I hope it's good because this is what we're going to have for X-Men going forward because Bryan Singer is also doing the next one that they've already got scheduled. Movie. Yeah. So my hope is that James Mangold and Hugh Jackman are doing another Wolverine movie.
Okay.
Maybe and I assume that's going to be his last appearance in the role.
Probably.
Hugh Jackman.
He's been doing it for a long time now.
Yeah. And the dude deserves to be able to move on, even though he's never been better in the part as far as I'm concerned.
The Wolverine was awesome.
Yeah,
he was so great.
And that's one of the main reasons I'm excited for Days of Future Past is he's just so good in that part.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
But you know he's not going to be in the costume.
Right.
It's like, I'm going to be grinding my teeth the whole time.
So it's not going to happen in Days of Future Past, but
it
maybe
might happen
in Wolverine 2.
2.
Yeah.
I think there is a definite chance that could happen.
Yes.
That would make me so happy.
Because I think James
has to happen. He's such a good Wolverine. It would be such a shame for him to never put on the costume. It's like Wolverine's had that costume forever. It's like, why can't he just wear it in the movies once?
And I hope, at least I think James Mangold gets it, because he didn't have him in that costume in the Wolverine movie, but I could at least understand why.
Yeah, but there was at least that, like, I think it was like a cutscene from the movie, but whatever. But I know on the DVD, at least I saw it online, that like at the end they have like in a case or whatever, and they show he has the costume.
Right. Well, I think that's the end of the movie in theaters. That's like the last.
I'm not sure if that was in theaters.
It's been a while since I've seen it.
I think that was a deleted scene.
Okay. Well, I know there's an extended cut of that movie on Blu-ray that's supposed to be really good. I need to get that Blu-ray and watch it. But apparently, it actually fixes some issues I had with the movie too. So, I loved it overall.
Because it's honestly at this point, it's more that I want Hugh Jackman to be able to wear the costume than just I want to see Wolverine in the costume. It'd be such a huge disservice to his fantastic portrayal of that character.
Yeah, it would be like if Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man only got to wear the shitty Spider-Man costume.
Yeah, it's like he's a really good Spider-Man. It would be awful if he stuck with these shitty blue fingertips the entire time. Or thank God he's getting like the best fucking costume so far in these movies.
Or, in the Marvel model, like, what if Chris Evans only got to wear, like, the Cap costume from the beginning of Winter Soldier?
Yeah.
Because you can tolerate that costume because it looks good, but also he's going to be in the real costume later on.
Yeah.
And he's been in it before.
Or it would be like if Loki never got to wear his hat.
Yeah. And they let him wear it his second time out.
Yeah.
Or does he have that hat in the first movie?
He definitely has it in the first movie.
Okay, I forgot. I've not seen that movie in forever. That's great.
He definitely has it in the first movie.
So, go Marvel.
I would have bitched and moaned if he had not had it in that movie.
What if, just on the off chance, they actually do get him in the yellow suit in Days of Future Past? Will you, go up and just, hug the screen?
Yeah, I mean, I would, even if the rest of that movie was awful, I would still have to give it a thumbs up if it had that much. It's like, you did something good here, movie. I don't care what else happens. You did something good.
Yep. So anyway, that's that. We got off topic here. Yeah. Point is, Captain America the Winter Soldier.
Fucking awesome.
It's almost like they've set such a high bar for every other movie this summer. It's like, it's unfair. Nothing else is going to live up to that.
Yeah, it's going to, because Amazing Spider-Man 2 already looks a little rocky, but that's going to be probably the next movie I see in the theater.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And even the other ones I'm excited for, I just don't think they're going to hit this level.
Yeah. Yeah,
certainly Transformers 4 isn't.
Yeah, well, luckily, I don't think I'm going to watch that one.
Okay. But Sean, we have to do our podcast episode. No, I'm kidding.
You can do one by yourself.
That's fine. Maybe what we can do on that week is we talk about Transformers 2 and why we hate it again.
Sure. I'm not going to watch Transformers 2
No, you don't have to.
I will try to recall as much of that movie as... I'll pull as much of that movie out of my repression that I can.
I can just re-air the piece from our Most Hated Movies podcast. You ranted about that for a while.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Well, anyway, this has been our discussion of Captain America the Winter Soldier. We will be back next week with a discussion of something else.
Yeah, hopefully. Something, I would call it some stuff, probably.